Hello my profane friends, how are you? Oh, I've got a good one today. We've got some like ritual, I daren't say it just in case they pick up on it, but you can read it there yourself. We've got some signage that is in Eat a Cake. We've got more shush ups, shh, by the police of course. I've got a few letters I've done. Some people might have seen these, but that's another good one just to put in. You know what I mean? But this series was supposed to be about, you know, all the square and compasses, what was in TV programs and that was the idea of it, you know, and 232, you know, and 323, all of that malarkey. That's sort of got sidelined, so I'm going to make this my last video on this. If you want to watch the others, that's 87 and 88. This will be 89, and I'm going to make number 90 just pure square and compass in TV programs, you know, and Masonic signage, because that's what this was about originally, and I've gone sidetracked on it. But today's show, mate, I'll tell you, it's a good, well, I think that's good anyway. I hope you do too, you know. There's more shush ups from, you know, FB, if you know what I mean. We show a bit of that, but listen to this. This is what you know, and when we listen to stuff on telly, you know, and they broadcast news and things like this, all you've got to think of is Freemasonry, because they've got the power, they've got the money, and they control it all. Do you know what I mean? So most of the corruption you're hearing is all to do with Freemasonry. You know, I don't say that for nothing. I'm going to prove that to you once again today, like I have been done in many of my videos. Anyway, I'll let this play, and hopefully I have sorted that feedback, you know. So here we go. I just want to play. It's only little short clips I'm doing, yeah. But the last one I'm doing, and I'll tell you when that is, which is the last one here, is the daughter of a serial satanic, blah blah, and it goes to like Masonic lodges and that. You know what I mean? These are all been abused at Masonic lodges and that. You know what I mean? By Freemasons as well. And then we've got a gang stalker here. You know, blah blah. You're gonna love this. This is right. Here we go.
As well, but not only that, they've got to admit it's wrong. And when you're
I'll put the subtitles on anyway. You can go see this video yourself.
Through with yourself, George, with what Tariq's gone through, with what Jason's gone through, with what anybody that's been taken to these alleged courts, yeah, have gone through. When you realise the fact, like what Anthony's been pushing all this time, because we want to make it like a PPI, just like a payback, because once they prove that there's no case management file, we know that it's never a court, no one's going to find a case file. And everybody needs being. Everyone's got to be paid for the damages that there's anybody, because the people have been hurt. The people of this, the people of England, have been put through this torture, and it is torture. I've witnessed it myself. That's why I do what I do. These people have been put through all this, and the fight to get these. I mean, this is the thing. How can I forgive these people? Yeah, if they're not going to admit that they did wrong. You can't forgive them until they. I mean, I'm compassionate. I'll forgive anybody. Yeah, I've had to, because I had to forgive myself an hour ago. So I can't forgive these people. So they're unforgivable because they're not even admitting they're doing wrong, and they're blatant. They know they're doing wrong. They laugh in your face. They don't care. There is zero care in these people. So they make it very easy. But I'm not here to. You know, at the end of the day, mate, they're going to have to live with what they've done. They just need taken out of the way. They're public hazards and they're hurting the people.
Yeah.
Children, everything else. They've got to be removed. And as people, it's up to us. As the men and women of this world, we are the government, they are the governed. They are the servants, and we, the people, must stand up and hold them accountable. And I'm seeing them more and more, and it's beautiful.
100%. Just one thing I need to interrupt you.
And there you go. And that's what we need to do. We need more people to stand up, open a profane lodge, and research your own towns and cities, and the corruption will land at that door. I keep promising you, you know. And it's there. I mean, it's in, you know, it's everywhere. Look at this geezer posting. He's a Freemason. Yeah, he's upset this other Freemason exposed him, right? But look, a Cowan. Do you know what I mean? And not just a Cowan. See what I mean? This is how they think of us. Yeah, Cowans. Do you know what I mean? Profane, the hated profane. Do you know what I mean? And this is how they talk about it. If you look them up, it's there all the time, everywhere. Do you know what I mean? The profane this, the profane that. We are the hated profane. Do you know what I mean? And then you can read, you know, like I said, if you just go to people's comments and just read how the Freemasons talk about you, look, he is tripping real. And there's my G, what I do on my posts, look. because that's their signs. They're their signs. You know, that's a G within a pyramid. They know exactly what it means. It doesn't have to make that, you know, it doesn't have to make that pyramid. It's just the lines that hint at that. You know, it could be dots. You could put 4 dots like that, and they would know it means pyramid. Or 3 dots. You know, you put 3 dots. You know, 2 at the bottom, and then 1 at the top in the middle. It makes a pyramid. Do you know what I mean? You haven't got to put the lines in. This is how their symbolism works. You know, but if you read, they just, you know, they go Cowan's this, Cowan's that. You know what I mean? They just go on and on and on. Do you know what I mean? Calling us profane, because there is only 2 people on this world, yeah, and that's Freemasons, yeah. And I don't mean, you know, all them others, you know, they go, oh, Illuminati. Illuminati are Freemasons. Do you know what I mean? Anyone telling you different? Jesuits, Freemasons. Do you know what I mean? They're all Freemasons, just working together, and they just make out, you know, this, that, and the other. So you point over it and start an argument. Do you know what I mean? You got people about, you know, arguing when this started or that started and all this crap. You know what I mean? It's now what's important and what's happening tomorrow in the future. Do you know what I mean? You can't change that past. Do you know what I mean? But you can change today and you can change tomorrow. This guy's good, War of the Roses. He'll teach you a lot of about Freemasonry, signs, the things to look for. Do you know what I mean? He's got a lot of the videos what I study and watch myself. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, it just takes time, you know, but it's just one of my favourites. I go to War of the Roses, look him up, 2-pack tip, yeah. And then look, now I'll show you this on the other video, right? Now you need to go look at video 87 and 88, I think, was it whatever, you know, something like that. Anyway, I forget, don't I? But here it is again. Look, here she is. Look, now this is in a Masonic lodge. Okay, there's the worshipful masters and the junior deacons and the blah blah blah. Yeah, got all the old men here. Look. But this is what they get up to. Now, I've shown this, and I don't need to play it all, but she's like a performer, and this is what they do. You know, you've got the all-seeing eye, look, the G, and, you know, I've seen so many arguments over this video. It says, you know, the same old story. That wasn't us. That don't go on in my lodge, and all this sort of crap, yeah? All right, so do they not look like Freemasons or not? Of course they look like Freemasons. Is it in a Freemason lodge? Of course it's in a Freemason lodge, okay? But when you get that, right, wait there, let me just go up here. As a Mason, I've come across this video before and I have various questions that nobody ever seemed to be able to provide me. Was this film in a legitimate lodge building? Of course it was. If so, which lodge is it? Well, you ain't going to tell us, are you? Do you know what I mean? No one's going to say, because it's always shh. Also, under which Grand Lodge's jurisdiction does it operate? Do you see what I mean? Just, you know, so they can say, well, that ain't our jurisdiction, that isn't us, and that's the divide and conquer again. You say, oh, that ain't them in that town, that's them in that city. Do you see what I mean? Because they've always got that divide, but it's everyone in every town and city around the globe or the world or whatever you want to call it. Do you see what I mean? And that's always their old adage. Do you know what I mean? That isn't us, that's in their town. That isn't us, that's in that town. Do you know what I mean? We're better than them, that's them. Do you know what I mean? See what I mean? And that's how they do it all the time. But it's a network of people, you know, that combined and control everything. Do you know what I mean? And there's no dispute and say, just because it happened in, you know, I don't know, like London, do you know what I mean, doesn't mean it's not going on in your town and your city. Do you see what I mean? Or wherever it is, it doesn't matter. Even if it's in Michigan, like it, you know, the one I'm now going to show you, right, on a news report, do you know what I mean, that's still going on in every town and city. I know that's a fact. Do you know what I mean? It don't matter what it is, but they'll say, oh, that ain't us, that don't go on in my lodge. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, blah blah blah, and, you know, and all they do, and they just keep going on with deniability and shush up. So we've seen this before, yeah, and I don't need to, like I said, but it's always they deny it, yeah. But when, you know, like you said, there's no smoke without fire, all right, yeah. And this is the thing about it, right? Now, if we go down here and shut that down, now here, right, here's the news report from the facts of another Masonic lodge, yeah. Now here, right, they say these men here, according to this, paid £900 a head, right, yeah. When the guy, so who can afford, if you're Profane or a Karen and you're listening to this, right, yeah, do you know what I mean? And you're not a Freemason, right? You're without the temple. Can you afford 900 quid to go to a Masonic lodge? or to a nightclub and pay £500 for your own head to have this sort of entertainment where there's nude women lying about. There's loads of nude women which are prostitutes, obviously, right, in a Masonic lodge. Do you know what I mean? Where can you get £900 a head? No, because they're the rich. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, Freemasons have got all the money and all the power within your towns and in your cities. Do you know what I mean? And this backs it up. But you'll also hear like the geezer, the master, goes down and go, he walked in there at 1 o'clock and it was all right. Do you know what I mean? But you believe that. They have security. They would not let any profane person in that lodge with a party without having some form of their own persons in that lodge, so they couldn't get rifled or anything goes wrong. Yeah, so they would have someone on hand there, yeah, of their own people in the Masonic lodge, right? Because they wouldn't have a load of profane people. The only people they hire out to are Freemasons anyway. Do you know what I mean? Whether that's wedding receptions and all the rest of it. You know what I mean? And like I said, they still have their own people on tap. Who's running the bar? Do you know what I mean? Like the barman or whatever. Do you know what I mean? They still have their own people looking after the bit. I mean, who's going to lock the building up? You're telling me they didn't have anyone there? Come on, do you know what I mean? They didn't just open the building and go, yeah, I'll run in, do what you like. No, there's someone there. That would have been a representative, a Freemason. Yeah, don't matter who, whatever. They knew what was going on in that lodge. Do you know what I mean? Because like I said, they just don't open their buildings to anyone and just leave them to go. Do you know what I mean? No, you got barmen there. You got people to make sure people leave. Yeah, and that the door and that the place is secured tightly up. Do you see what I mean? I ain't left there for nothing. If that geezer left, right, and left the people in the lodge, then that was all Freemasons. Do you know what I mean? Because he knew it as his brothers. Do you know what I mean? They got caught, mate. Anyway, listen to the news report.
Has taken place. Freemasons I spoke to today deny. They say they do not stand for this.
Deny.
It's a secretive organization sitting right next door to the Battle Creek Police Department and the county courthouse.
Thank you for calling the beautiful downtown Battle Creek Masonic Center. Renting our facility, please call Charlie at 269.
We called Charlie and told him how police sources described to us an out-of-control sex party scene. Police sources told us the first officer to walk inside was shocked to find a couple performing a lewd sex act right in front of him, along with multiple nude women, drugs, and men videotaping it all behind these closed doors. Charlie told me Freemasons don't go on camera, and he didn't know about the multiple arrests that were made that night. He says those who paid $900 to rent this space told him it was going to be a dancing party. He heard a rumor that night there was some nudity, and when he went to the facility at about 1 in the morning to check the party out, he didn't see anything wrong.
See? No, sorry, I got it wrong. I thought it was £900 a head, sorry. They hired the hall for £900, alright? But that don't matter, it's neither here nor there anyway. The point of the matter is, he wouldn't have opened that building up for any Cowans or profane people to run riot in there, do you know what I mean? So they would have had their own barman, because obviously there was drugs and drink there, and they got their own bar in every Masonic lodge anyway. They got the bar. So, you know, and anything that's arranged, they you know, like the meals, this is what they do in the after parties, do you know what I mean? You know, they do all the rituals, and then after party the prostitutes come in, do you know what I mean? But this is how they cover it up, do you know what I mean? This is a perfect shush up for Freemasonry, do you know what I mean? But no one doesn't say anything, that's all right, you know what I mean? Wait till the wives find out though, eh? And we got to know the ones who got arrested. If I was living over there, I would find out if it was Freemasons or not, but I can't do that, do you know what I mean? So if anyone's in Michigan, find out if they were Freemasons that got arrested, do you know what I mean? And if any action actually did happen to them, which I doubt it did.
Sometime after that, police arrived. Stand for, and the organization has suspended all future rental parties.
See what I mean? And they think that's case closed, you see what I mean? We don't do it, we ain't going to have any more rental parties now, because then that shushes everything up, do you see what I mean? So they more than likely don't, but they'll go to the next town or the next county and do it in another lodge, do you know what I mean? But they make sure it's well sewed up and make sure they're Masonic police force, because it's more than likely a profane policeman that walked in on that, do you know what I mean? And they couldn't shush it up, you know? Well, we'll see anyway. Like I said, I don't know, I can't tell the full story, but it's there, isn't it? You know what I mean? No smoke without fire. This guy's been gang stalked.
Mate.
This is all what gang stalking's about. This is, right?
And mentally. I could not even stand.
I mean, right, this is what Freemasons do.
My name is Josiah Richard Maine. I've been abused my whole life since I was a child by an organization called Free and Accepted Masons. I've been abused financially, I've been abused sexually, I've been abused spiritually, I've been abused physically, I've been abused emotionally and mentally. I could not even stay in free camping in a different state other than where I was born and where I was raised without somebody sitting there to mess with me. I cannot go to a library, I cannot go to another church, I cannot go to the VA, I can't go to the police, I can't do anything.
And the reason he can't go to into the churches for support, yeah, because every avenue, right, wherever you want to go for support, yeah, is blocked by Freemasonry, or they control it. Whether that's the mental health, whether that's your psychiatrist, do you know what I mean? Because that's what they do. They have shush, you know, they want to shush people up like this guy, do you know what I mean? Yeah, and that's why they hound you, so you make you look crazy and stupid, do you know what I mean? Oh look, so everyone avoids you or treats you in a different manner that you should be treated, do you know what I mean? You know. And this is what's happened to him. That's why you can't go anywhere, because they got photographic memories, and all they do is put your photograph around the lodge, yeah, in all the lodges that go round like that, you know what I mean? And each and every Freemason scans your face, remembers it. If you drive a particular car or ride a particular motorbike, they memorise that and they know it. You know what I mean? And they'll spot you like that, and then they just do a simple phone call if they want how you know, boom boom, and that's it. And that's how they find you all the time. You know what I mean? Unless they got GPS on you, or you know, sneakily put it on your phone, or stuck it to your car, or something like that. But that's why this is what Freemasonry does to people. Do you know what I mean? And all your avenues of help, you can't go to back and you go to the police about Freemasons. They ain't going to arrest their brothers in the lodge. Do you know what I mean? They're going to shush you up. They're going to shut you up. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Or they're going to look for a way to arrest you and put you away. Do you know what I mean? And that's what they do. That's what Freemasonry does. The great thing is, since the last 2 years, like I said, a lot more people have woken up to them. Yeah. And what and what scum they are. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. They're gang stalking, drug dealing, paedophile fucking nonce cases and rapists, do you know what I mean? And there's no getting away from it, you know what I mean? And the quicker you profane people wake up to it, the better, do you know what I mean? I'll stand here toe to toe with any Freemason, yeah, that's gang stalked me, all in my past. Don't care if it's my school friends or whatever, I don't see no more because they've been told to keep away from me because they're the worshipful little fucking masters and all the rest of it. Do you know what I mean? I'd stand toe to toe and I'll do a lie detector with any one of them. Do you know what I mean? Any of them. And I can put them all to bloody shame and all, because I've been there, I've watched them for 20 years. Do you know what I mean? But they wouldn't. They always keep shh and hide up and look and go in cloak and dagger. Anyway, I'll carry the video on because I get annoyed at doing this. Right. Well, talking about it.
Without this organization,
right,
having somebody do the same
for some reason, I always go a bit like, yeah.
I can't go to the police, I can't do anything. Without this organization being there and having somebody do the same things. My girlfriends have lied to me. My family has lied to me. Clergy, everybody. Just to call me crazy.
And that's what they do, you know what I mean? And they follow you. You know, it don't matter what town or city you go to. I've got them following me right to the tip of Scotland, right down into Bristol, down into Hastings. I've got them all. And I mean, I've video recorded it, do you know what I mean? And tape recorded it. You know, there's no disputing it. So I know anyway. And then, you know, I've been to various other things. I don't want to get into that yet anyway, but that'll come, yeah? They think they're smart, but they're not. Once you start using their own tools against them, that's where you get them. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, look, this is one of my Freemason friends. He sends me stuff like this. He's either eating it or putting it over himself. Do you know what I mean? You know, this is a Freemason, this is. You know what I mean? Apparently at the hall he invites me down. Whether he is or not, I don't know. It's not confirmed. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, now we're getting into... Sorry, I'm eating a biscuit. Now, when you make letters, when you do or send a letter, what's official, put that on it. Because if you ask us something, they might let it swing and let you off. Do you know what I mean? Because that's what happens, you know. This is what they do. They put this in, you know. These little messages, you know. But this come from a vote, yeah. they ask me to vote or something, do you know what I mean? I just put, you're rigged. You need to, you all, I'll show you in a minute, I've got a video on it. And I just put my name in, you know, like put their signature on it. Because they wanted me to vote on register my vote, I think, or something like that. And I sent this back to them, do you know what I mean? So they know, and I just call them a load of Masonic nonsense, do you know what I mean? I'll play the video anyway, enjoy. When they send you an elections team and a town hall to vote, you know what I mean? So what you do, you put a load of Masonic symbolism on it, made up obviously. Every A is a Masonic A, of course, a square and compass. And then you reply Masonic nonsense, nonce. You know what I mean? Masonic nonsense. And then we've got no thanks. Enter your security code, minus 33 degrees. I'm a worshipful master. You Lucifer scum. You know what I mean? Then we got Masonic votes don't get vetted by the profane. And they're never vetted by the profane. The people who count them votes are Freemasons. And if you go up to your town hall, and, you know, when they're doing a count, yeah, you stand there, you'll see all the women counting and all that on the tables. But in the end, the only people that take that box into the back room are Freemasons. Prove me wrong. You know what I mean? I've seen it, I've done it, and I know it, yeah? And I knew some people that used to do the counts in the council. And the only people that used to take that box, what was counted from the profane votes, were Freemasons. So they tell you anything you want to hear. Never trust the Freemasons in a vote. Then you put a few signages on here. Masonic corruption abound in the Masonic Council Lodge. You know what I mean? The lodge room. Anyway, we'll be posting this off to them tomorrow. Freemasonry has no power over this woke profane man. We know your dealings to look good. You are rotten to the core of society, so mope that up your pipe. Love me, baby. You know what I mean? Yeah, bugger them. Like I said, they're there to screw you over. That's all their councils do. And like I said, if they've got family members, they're getting the council houses first. And everyone else, apart from the people that have more than likely resided within the town, all of their life, and they're all on the streets or whatever, because they've made it that way. Do you know what I mean? So you're not even entitled to a place or a home, yeah? And the council is so busy shifting people out of their houses, so they become homeless because that causes the chaos, do you know what I mean? And this is what they do. But anyway, I don't want to get into it. Every council within the UK, every government around the globe, whatever town, city, you've got a hardcore case of Freemasons controlling your town and all the skullduggery that goes along with it, do you know what I mean? So do not trust your Masonic Council, because that's all they are. And Masonic Council, all their out branches, with their social services, you know, the care homes, all of that, it's all run by Freemasons, do you know what I mean? And like I said, they've got all the leases, they've got all the pubs, they own all the clubs, they own all the doormen, they own everything. Try and prove me wrong. I know, I've done the research for 25 years, do you know what I mean? I've watched these people. Anyway, that's another story. Have a great day, everybody. Lucifer, you know what I mean? A Lucifer. Remember, that's all Masonic nonsense, alright? Have a great day, you Freemasons. And remember, I love you, Profane. And that's what it's about, you know what I mean? When I get letters from any government, you know, it doesn't matter who it is, do you know what I mean? Council, whatever, they get this, do you know what I mean? You're Freemasons, you're running us, and they do, that's what they run everything, do you know what I mean? And that's what it's about, you know what I mean? And they don't want the profane, which is us, yeah, they don't want us getting rich or getting into their circles, do you know what I mean? You can watch the Freemasons, you know, where they congregate, you see they're out on the pub all night, all day, fucking enjoying their lives, do you know what I mean? Partying and doing all their stuff, and you'll get the Freemasons go, well, I didn't see that, I don't know, you know, that's because you're not in the centre of it, do you know what I mean? The main families, do you know what I mean? The people. Anyway, let's go on. Another letter, this is another letter I got, I think, or I put this on the envelope, this is what I put on the envelope, I think, when I sent it back. Oh yeah, and don't forget the envelope, yeah? You know what I mean? Put some Masonic signs on it, a bit of writing, you ain't got to go as elaborate as this, but everybody who posts a letter, regardless of where it is, should have something on it, like a Masonic symbol, do you know what I mean? Or a G within a pyramid, do you know what I mean? A link to my website or some form of, you know, link what's easy to type in that leads to something that reveals the Freemasons. Do you know what I mean? But don't be so elaborate as this. But you can, you know. But you should be putting things like, well, I'll put Masonic votes are rigged. The profane need to wake up. Need to wake up to you all, meaning Freemasonry. And then we've got my, you know, obviously the G within a pyramid, and then you've got www.nazon.boni.com, and then we've got the G and the Masonic square and compass. Do you know what I mean? But this is what you should be putting on all your envelopes. You know, not as elaborate as I do. I don't care. Do you know what I mean? And then I'll put on the back, I'll put, don't trust the Masonic government in your council lodge rooms. SMIB, you twats. I normally put SNIB, which is so non-sit be, rather than so motit be. But there you go, SNIB, you twats. But like I said, I'm going to put a few more Masonic signages around the envelope. But you should do this on every envelope you post, because the amount of hands an envelope passes through the post, they'll go, oh, what's that? Do you know what I mean? Obviously, a lot of them get thrown, but they do get looked at, do you know what I mean, by the postman, do you know what I mean? And they say, oh, I've got this funny, and it's a talking point, isn't it? Yeah, this is going to go, that'll get talked about, especially when it lands in the council, and then the Freemasons will talk about it, and the more people that talk about it, the better it is for me. Believe it, I love Freemasons that talk. Anyway, shh, don't tell anyone. Anyway, let's keep that secret. Like I said, but try and put something on anything you post, you know, anywhere. Try putting a link, and obviously your own, you know, a link to a forum or something. Hopefully my forum, you know, that'll reveal what Freemasonry is all about. Do you know what I mean? Like Elton Charles, you know, anything. Do you know what I mean? But put their signage. You know, keep mentioning Freemasonry, Freemasons, because people will say, well, what's Freemasons? You know what I mean? And it just could get them on the search to waken up. Do you see what I mean? So you need to put something Masonic on your envelopes. Do you know what I mean? Because like I said, do not trust the Masonic government, and that's their global government, you know what I mean? Because they run every town, city, you know what I mean? Like I said, I keep explaining, you know, look at my Masonic increasing armies, you know, and the thing is, like I said, the villages, because they're in the villages answer to the towns answer to the cities then answer to the county, and then the counties get together, and then they answer up to London and all the, you know, the different capitals, blah, 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 and then it got up to the elite that run the countries. Do you know what I mean? The Freemasons are the infrastructure. But once you start learning to take out the Freemasons within your town and city, you, as a profane person, and everyone else who's profane, will get a fair shot and not be corrupted out of businesses or anything else the Freemasons are doing within your town and city. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, have a great day, everyone. And remember, I love you, profane.
And there you go. Now here, right, this is see, now I'm getting into a bit, because this should have been the video about, you know, Masonic signage in programs, yeah. Now here we got is that geezer, again, I can't remember his bloody name. I think he's in Friends, yeah. But look at the background on the Etch-a-Sketch. You see it, look? You see what I mean? This is how craftily they put it in. This is what you're up against. You know what I mean? That's just the gang sign. They've just put us. All they've done is got a spray can. They don't go out and spray can the walls around you know, around the estate or anything like that. They do it in your TV. Do you know what I mean? They spray can your TV. You know, here it is. Look, hello gang. We are the profane. There it is. See what I mean? And that's what they do. They don't go around spraying the town. They just spray it in the TV, straight in your living room. Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to get that. So, see that? Unreal, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? And that's that dude. I can't remember his name. I think he's on Friends anyway. But there you go. That's what they do. They, you know, they put that signage all the time in your telly, in your face, going ha ha ha, and they think you're too stupid and profane to see it. Do you know what I mean? Look at this, look, George Washington, Freemason and the first president, and you think the Freemasons ain't controlling any countries? Oh, come on, wake up. You know what I mean? They even put Freemason before the president, you know what I mean? It should have been president only if he was a president. Nothing to do with being a Freemason. Do you know what I mean? But I'll play it anyway. I don't think there's a sound to it anyway. But this is, again, look, you got the Queen. Look at the nurse's belt. Do you see what I mean? Because they are the NHS. Do you know what I mean? And all these times when you get, you know, hardship from the NHS, they have no hardship. Any Freemason, they get all the care they need. Yeah, they're looked after in their own hospitals, their widows, their sons, and all the rest of it. And you can see that all throughout my videos. Do you know what I mean? So when you're having troubles at the hospital because they messed with the NHS because they run the government, yeah, and you can't get a bed or anything like that, they get a bed because they're Freemasons. It's just a simple phone call, a simple little hand sign, and they get the bed. Do you know what I mean? They're getting treatment before any of you lot. And I'll tell you now, let's just say there was a pill, like there was a, you know, I don't even say the bloody word. Do you know what I mean? Let's say there was a youth pill, you know what I mean? I don't know, but the first people that would get it would be Freemasons. You Profane would get niche, nothing. Do you know what I mean? If there was something to save someone, do you know what I mean? If there's a train and you had to get on that to save, you know, your family's life, you won't be getting on because the man who stands there with the board will be a Freemason. Do you know what I mean? And he's only going to take the ones that are given a hand sign or a signal that they're Freemasons, and everyone else is going to get turned away. Oh, I can't do it, sorry. Do you know what I mean? He wouldn't even have a list. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't need a list because everyone who gives him a sign is on that list. Do you see what I mean? He doesn't care whose name, it don't matter what the name is. If you're a brother, he's holding that board, he's going to give a sign, and then he's getting on that train. Do you know what I mean? He don't care what's on it. If you go up there and go, oh, Mr. Whatever, doesn't matter, you ain't getting on that train. But you give a Masonic sign, you'll get on that train because you're a brother, and that's a fact. You know what I mean? That's how they look out for each other. Anyway, I'll keep the video going. Ooh. See, the facts, the truth. Do you know what I mean? They look after themselves, yeah? They rule and run everything. See? And it never ends. Now, this is a video, right, that I tried posting on Facebook. I'm going to get into that in a minute, yeah? And I wonder why he keeps winning. That's Masonic TV for you. And I'm going to show you the signs he keep making in the TV show, yeah? Right, and they're all Freemasons, you know, signals or signs or whatever you want to call it, yeah. And he keeps winning, you know. He wears blacks and white trousers. He wears glasses, one round and one square. Do you know what I mean? All this sort of like, and he keeps winning when it goes to the vote. You know, he always gets in it, and the judges have to decide who's going to win. And he just every time he just gives a signal and wins. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy. You just watch Masonic TV. Anyway, here we go. Boom, boom. Yeah, look, I throw Masonic gang signs wearing black and white or glasses that has one round speck and one square speck to represent the square and compass. Check the other Freemason throwing the gang signs, and I'll show you a bit more. That's now coming up, but I'll play this anyway. But this shows you where you try and post on, you know, whatever, and that won't go, and they delete it. And you'll actually see one of my friends, yeah, is in my like notifications, yeah, and then you'll just see her disappear off the notifications, and I actually caught that just in time, so I'm well excited about that. You watch, it's so exciting. Right, here we go. Look, I keep trying to post this, right, 180 people, right, and they locked my account last time and then deleted it, so I'll post it now. Okay, and we'll see what happens. See, that was 3 minutes ago I posted this. I've just tagged the people in it now. I'll make a little funny noise, go beep beep or whatever, which means it's supposed to have refreshed. Oh, there you go. So it's gone like that now, which then means it's gone. Oh, down, 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 you swine. Oh yeah, no, I'm using the wrong phone. Oh yeah, I was scrolling down the wrong phone. The one I was filming with. I was trying to scroll down on the other camera because I was looking through the camera, so I messed up a bit there. But anyway, we'll carry on. And like I said, this is now going to it's so funny. Watch. Blatant. Oh, what's happened there? Button. So there it is. Look. I wonder why he keeps winning. Now that's the second post down, and then you've got this one. Okay, which is my other post. So if I go up now and then refresh the page, hopefully it stays there this time. Bosh. But of course it disappears again. Do you see what I mean? So where is the post gone again? You see, I just can't post anything. It's just ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, more proof in the pudding that Facebook is just a Masonic company shushing up the truth. Do you know what I mean? Don't let them get away with it. Anyway, this will be going up on my next video, and I'll see you later, friends. Like I said, you're just wasting your time on Facebook. anything with truth is gone. You know what I mean? And there it is, it's gone. And that is it. It goes every time. And I just can't post on Facebook no more. I'm sorry, you know. It's just a waste of my time and effort, you know what I mean? Because as soon as I push that button post, that'll say, boom, your accounts are locked because there's been unusual activity on it, yeah? And then I have to make a new password. Now, by the time I've made the new password and get back on Facebook, that post has been deleted. So all that work I've done, you know, messing about, doing the videos and, you know, doing the writing and everything, that just disappears, do you know what I mean? So obviously I learned the first few times. I then started, you know, obviously copying and pasting what I wrote in, and then it was just a case of add the videos, paste the thingy, and then it was all back to square one, which is what I've done here. And then I'll just film it, do you know what I mean? But you'll see here, you'll see my friend Pippa, she'll be in the notifications, and then all of a sudden you'll see her disappear. Do you know what I mean? From the notifications, because I actually go to the post from her being in my notifications. I click on her. I then go to where it says, you know, why did this guy keep winning? Do you know what I mean? And then when I go back, she disappears, and then obviously I can't get to the post. Yeah, but anyway, watch the video. It's only 4 minutes long. I said they're short, but that's what we have to show you how Facebook, Masonic Facebook, shushes up your post, because that's what it's all about. It's all about control. Do you know what I mean? They don't want the information or the truth to get out there. Do you know what I mean? And that's their biggest, you know, their biggest fear. Because once that symbolism, yeah, people pick up on the symbolism and what they're doing, because they're everywhere around you. Trust me, they're everywhere. You know, I stood in like the Anson. Do you know what I mean? They're standing around me like that, even doing their rituals and that, thinking I'm fucking dumb. Do you know what I mean? I don't know nothing. But there's things I could say about what I did there, but I don't want to get into that, you know what I mean? But, you know, that's what they do, do you know what I mean? They think they're so smart, they're so clever, do you know what I mean? Even with, you know, they've followed me everywhere, do you know what I mean? It don't matter, you know, like Cambridge down in, I can't even remember the bloody place now, you know, coming there. You know, I'm going to give him a card and the geezer's throwing it on the floor, do you know what I mean? I'm picking the cards up because I know it's got his fingerprints on it, do you know what I mean? Bosh. You know, how come you're following me into this, you know, whether that fingerprint still stays the same, do you know what I mean? But I've got his fingerprint on the card, do you know what I mean? That's a Freemason for you, a gang stalker. I know who he is, blah, blah, blah. But that's beside the point. That's what you got to do, gain evidence over the years, do you know what I mean? And that's what I've done. Anyway, let's play this video and you'll see this Facebook get shushed up real fast. And you'll see, I'm going to show you the videos I was trying to upload as well, which comes next, do you know what I mean? But you see how quick they shush this up. Here we go again, take 2. Right, save. I'm sure he's not winning though, because he keeps wearing black and white. Also, he's got a pin. Now, 2 people have seen this, look. Do you know what I mean? So it's been up a while, 49 minutes. Now, they deleted my last one, so where this one come from, I don't know. So I'm going to just check. I just marked everyone in it. You notice it's only got 4 videos there, do you know what I mean? There should be more in there. He's from gang signs all the time, do you know what I mean? He's got gang signs tattoos. There's certainly in on my wall, so I don't know what's happening. They're playing some sort of trick. Anyway, what do I know? You know what I mean? You keep wearing black and white, you wear a compass and a square. See? Nothing. Not understanding. Yeah, no wonder he's winning. And a post, right? Sure he's not winning. Put some more. Keep wearing black and white. Also, see the compass and square? See, these should be on there. You know what I mean? There should be these ones as well. See, they keep locking my account after I post it. So I don't know what's happening with this, why it's there or what. Let's go back to my wall, look. Okay, and I only went there because it says, look, I wonder why he keeps, yeah? Which is the right, take notice, look, you see Pippa, look, likes your post, wonder why he keeps winning, yeah? Which is that post I'm now looking to and referring to, yeah? Again, it's here, look, I wonder why, yeah? So I think this time I go to the link through Karen Moon, Lorraine, just say through Lorraine, I actually went to the post, and then when I come back, she disappeared, and then Pippa disappeared, I believe. But that's how quick Facebook, I wish I wouldn't said that, because they shut you up when you do that, don't they? But that's how quick they shush you up, these Freemasons, serious. When you're posting truth and facts, They don't like it. Anyway, watch this. Watch Pippa disappear. Watch. These two friends, okay? Oh, wrong one. Sorry. Terrible cameraman. It's playing me up. It's not that. Yeah, I can't even do nothing there. Oh, there we go. So it completely shuts down. Right there. Dash. Right, here's my account. And look, it's still not there. So basically it's saying it's there. If someone's seeing it, I don't know what the hell's going on with that post. See, so the post has disappeared. That should be the second one down, yeah? But it ain't, yeah? It's disappeared. So now I'll go and watch Pippa disappear, watch. But look, where is it? Where's it gone? Do you see what I mean? I'm not seeing it on my wall, and I posted that 49 minutes ago. This one here, obviously, look, was posted yesterday. So where is it? So I don't know what sort of game they're playing with my videos. Not a freaking clue. Yeah, something went wrong. Oh no, sorry. Now if I go back to here, look, and see Karen Moon's gone, look. You see Lorraine? Karen Moon's gone, look. Now watch Pippa Smith do a disappearing act as well. That's what Freemasonry does, make people disappear. You know what I mean? They shush up any interlopers, you know what I mean? Shh, we've got to shut him up. Shh, he's a threat to the organisation. We better make him disappear. Watch this. Watch Pippa disappear, look. And then that's the end of the post. That's gone, you know. Erased from history. Because I show... Yeah, put one there. Wonder why he keeps winning. And here's another one, look. And there it is, look. Now there's 7 videos on that one, look. See, there's 7 on there now, look, see. But all these people were tagged 32 minutes ago. Why aren't they there? Do you see what I mean? So I don't know. So anyone I'm tagging, they're not even putting in the post. So this is what's happening to my post. So anyway, I'll be doing another. I've got another video coming, and I'll just do that. It's just bloody ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? Get ready? See, now she's gone. That's the story. I don't know what's going on with it all. You know what I mean? It's all a bit stupid, really. Where's Pippa? But like I said, yeah, she's gone. Where's it gone? Look, see, look. Where's Pippa gone? Who made a comment on that post? See, now Pippa's gone, and that's it. That's the end of the post, and that's how they shush stuff up. It's just book burning, basically, what the Nazis did. You know what I mean? Anything they don't like, anything that's a threat. Do you know what I mean? Shush it up. Because what I'm showing you on this TV program is him giving the hailing sign of the Masonic, you know, Grand Hailing sign. Yeah, you'll see him wearing black and white. He's wearing square and compass glasses, and he's winning. Do you know what I mean? Only because of that. You know. Right, but they don't like it. They don't like the truth. Anyway, let's carry on. But Pippa got demoted or deleted. See, where's Pippa gone? Where she was just... obviously, you can rewind the video, what I'm now doing. But Pippa's gone, look. See, that video's gone, look. See, and that's how they delete people off it, look. See? Can you believe it? Yeah, that's that big post. So where has it gone, look? As soon as someone makes a comment or a post on it, look, they're just getting... you know, deleted from my thing. This is what happens on Facebook. You know, they're just Freemasons. Any truth, because obviously once you start seeing it within your TV programs, you're going to pick the winner, aren't you? But there it is, look, see? That was posted yesterday, and you see the time stamp on the other one. Where's it gone? And you even see people in my, I don't know what you call that bit. What is it, like notifications, is it? Like the bells? See, where are they gone? You see what I mean? Pure Masonic shush-ups. Have a great day, folks. But this is why I'm stopping posting on here now. Waste of fucking time. You know what I mean? Facebook, waste of time. Bye. Shh. Don't let them know that, because they might delete my account. If I do, remember, you can always find me on www.nazonzazonboni.com. You can always find me there, yeah? So anyway, as I said, join up. And I'll send an email if I get deleted off Facebook so you can find me again, okay? Have a great day, folks. Can you see that though? How my post disappeared, people's comments disappeared. Do you know what I mean? And this is the reason why, yeah? I'm going to show you in a minute anyway. But look, aren't these the children? Aren't these the people who kidnapped all the kids? New York State Masonic Child Identification Program. Name, you know what I mean? Now this is an old video, VHS video. I did try to buy it off eBay. Whether it's still there or not, I don't know. I didn't get it in the end anyway. But I've done posts about chipping and Freemasons, yeah. Let me go here, because again, there are your kids. You know, there's no two ways about it. You know what I mean? If you don't know that, then you're more profane. Right, if I just put chips in here, CHIP, and you'll see the posts I've done on chips. Hopefully, let's just have a look. I just want a quick little butcher of it, just so I can see it. Maybe I've got to put chipping instead of chips. CHIPPING, right? Because I did a bit, yeah, Masonic chipping, look. Boom, and that's in Illuminati and Freemasons, number 6, Masonic chipping, yeah? And that'll take you and show you loads of videos, yeah? On Freemasons, you know, whether they're in Tennessee, Ontario, do you know what I mean? All around, Missouri, do you know what I mean? All the way around, that'll show you all the videos. A lot of them have been shushed up. Here's the videotape here, look. The Grand Lodge of Masons of Massachusetts Child Identification Program. But if you want to see that, that's in there in Illuminati and Freemasons, number 6, yeah? I just thought I'd enlighten you with that. You know me, I like to enlighten my profane friends, and I'll play this now. It's only 30 seconds.
Cleaning out my basement, I found this old VHS videotape. It's a place where you could take your kids. They were doing it in the community for free.
For free?
Videotapes them in case they're ever missing. You have a videotape of them for the news. But the Masons did it with Illuminati sign? Aren't these the people that actually take your children? What the hell?
Exactly. What the hell? Do you know what I mean? But that's what they do. They do these in the community. They think, oh, you won't, because you will listen to Freemasonry because they're respectable, blah, blah, blah. And that's what they want. And this is what happens. They mingle in amongst you, yeah, right? Look at the big scale, right? You've got the big people at the top giving it all the bollocks, and it goes down the line, yeah? The people keeping it going within the towns and cities are Freemasons. Do you know what I mean? They're the ones, they've been directed to keep the spiel going, whatever the elites say. Do you know what I mean? And they're like, you know, like keeping that hypnosis type thing going. Do you know what I mean? You know, like someone go, oh, vote for him, vote for him. So they get a direction who to vote for, and then when they're talking in a pub, they'll be the majority vote on that, and they'll swing any person that's against that. Do you see what I mean? So when they go, they vote. You know, not that, forget the government vote. That's just all cheated anyway. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, I've seen them. You know, take the box into the back, 3-4 Masons, take the count, everyone's counting at the front, like all the women and all that savagely, all the votes go up the table, do you know what I mean? And then you get 2 men, 3 men, what, 3 Masons, take the box into a room, do you know what I mean? And you're supposed to trust them 3 men, that they're going to tell you what votes are what? Yeah, right. Why are they taking it into the back room? So no other fucker can see what the fucking real count is. Because there's no profane person see it, I'm telling you now. And that's the trouble with your councils and their little voting system. It's all corruption. And if you think your vote count, it don't. But anyway, that's another story and another sideline. I can get into that all day and all what I've seen up there. But that's another story. But the point of the matter is, these people, do you know what I mean? They're trying to identify your children. You know, they're taking their blood samples and everything. Do you know what I mean? If they're looking for blood types, be careful, do you know what I mean? I wouldn't be doing it, but you'll read that on the post if you go to it anyway. Anyway, moving on, this is more how they shush up crimes, do you know what I mean, yeah? Watch. Powerful figures. Who are these powerful figures? Who has got all the power around the world? Who is it? Who are these? So who do you think these powerful people are? These, you know, who she's now going to refer to. Listen to it, yeah?
Allegations of historic child abuse involving a group of powerful people in public life have launched a new investigation into whether anyone was killed. One alleged victim, a man who is now in his 40s, claims that in the 1970s and 80s, the paedophiles included senior military, political and law enforcement figures. He told the BBC that he was abused for almost a decade by the men and that they used fear and punishment as a means of control. Our Home Affairs correspondent Tom Simons reports.
London, in the late 70s and early 80s. A time and place receding into history. But the darkest stories from the past are returning to haunt modern Britain, and this is one of them. An account of boys picked up by chauffeur-driven cars and taken to meet their abusers.
They created fear that penetrated every part of me.
Nick, not his real name, has overcome decades of fear to give his testimony.
It started with my father. It started with quite severe physical abuse, quickly turning into sexual as well. Within a very short space of time, he had handed me over, or whatever you want to call it, to the group.
What sort of group was it?
A group of men, very powerful people.
Give me some idea of the kinds of people. Military?
Yeah. The other figures from law enforcement, other people from the political establishment.
Nick says it started in 1975 when he was a child and continued until he was a teenager. He remembers the abusers would send their employees to bring him to hotels and private apartments.
We weren't smuggled in under a blanket through the back door. It was done openly. They had no fear at all of being caught. It didn't even cross their mind. They could do anything they wanted without question.
And who does that sound like? They got no fear of getting caught. Who's got the biggest shush up? Shh, and can shush shit up. Who's got the biggest shush in the world? Freemasonry. And that's the only thing these people don't do, and that's always, no matter what newscasts you listen to, over and over again, it's always Freemasons. They've got the power. Do you know what I mean? They own the hotels. Do you know what I mean? And you just got to put the, you just got to put the dots together. You know what I mean? And come up with it. You know. Listen.
So children, even younger than that, being brought into hotels and apartment buildings, and nobody batting an eyelid.
No.
Behind closed doors, he was present at what were called parties or sessions. He believes 15 or 20 children were used by the group and hurt by its members.
I've never experienced pain like it. I hope I never do again. But some of it was deliberate because they set rules that were just impossible to follow. So you couldn't help but break the rules on occasions. And you were punished for that, which some of them enjoyed.
His account is now at the centre of a major police investigation, Operation Midland. But Scotland Yard also said today that it had recently received evidence that suggested there might have been murders or killings. This has become a highly sensitive investigation, and it's only just begun.
You would like new witnesses to come forward?
People who drove us around could come forward. Staff in some of the locations could come forward. Anybody who knew anything. They need to find the strength that we as survivors have done. It's something that stays with you forever. It's destroyed my ability to trust because the memories never go. They're with you constantly.
Well, Tom is with me now. Really shocking allegations and presumably a very difficult, sensitive investigation ahead.
Yes, Sophie, Nick has been, he says, abused in ways that we simply can't broadcast on this programme. And he's a man now, as you can see. He was a child just then. And we can't, the BBC, corroborate what he says. And for the police, it will be a very difficult investigation. You're talking about extracting memories from people from 30 years ago. And these are people who potentially have been abused and will have to make that decision to come forward, as Nick has done, to make their testimony, talk about what happened to them in the past. Now that does involve two things, I think. It involves counselling. Nick has had a lot of counselling. And trust. He's got to be able to trust that his story is going to be taken seriously. I think he feels that this current investigation is taking it seriously. He's given 3 days of evidence, he tells me, to the police. But as you say, it's going to be a long and complicated investigation from here.
Tom, thank you. A 69-year-old man.
And when they start these investigations, the only thing they never mention is Freemasonry. You know, on these investigations, they want to go, how many Freemasons were involved? Do you know what I mean? How many hotels were owned by Freemasons? Do you know what I mean? And once you get these common denominators, do you know what I mean? I mean, I don't know what the inquiry or what's going on with that Midland inquiry now. I suppose I could look into it and research it, you know, and get all the answers I need. Do you know what I mean? How many hotels were owned by Freemasons? Do you know what I mean? What they were taken to, things like. But no one's asking anyone if you're a Freemason, because, like I said, they always work in shadows and they don't wear their aprons. Do you see what I mean? All the time, you know. But I've got more of this coming. This is all shush up. Watch. Now this is rather than if what I say that all councils are run by Freemasons, right? What do you think this one is? You know, look, this is the Rotherham councils, right? 14,000 booster cases shushed up.
A very good morning from the BBC Look North breakfast team. Well, as you just heard on the breakfast programme, there are calls for South Yorkshire's Police and Crime Commissioner to resign after a report published yesterday found that 1,400 children in Rotherham had been sexually exploited over a 16-year period. Sean Wright was the cabinet member for...
And let me say this is what they do, yeah? Anything like this, yeah? They just resign, yeah? Or they get sacked, yeah? And moved on, yeah? Even though they're complicit in it and they know. But that's the thing, see what I mean? Two people, no Freemason is mentioned, do you know what I mean? Even though they are Freemasons, they know exactly what's going on, but they sack them and they give you like a placebo, do you know what I mean? That because we're sacked him, that's covered, you know, that's, everything's all right, do you know what I mean? Now we'll replace that person with another Freemason, and he's going to do the same work as what we were doing before anyway. Do you see what I mean? That's what they do. All they do is sack the Freemason and then replace him with another Freemason, and the corruption just don't end, and it never will while these people have got power.
Children and Young People's Services at Rotherham before taking on his current role. The council leader, Roger Stone, immediately stepped down yesterday, prompting others to say Mr. Wright should now follow suit.
During his time in the council, there were 3 reports, and it's astonishing that those 3 reports were ignored. And how many of these 1,400 victims wouldn't have been victims if action had been taken earlier on these reports?
Well, our reporter
apologised. He said things should have been done differently. Nevertheless, the calls for his resignation continue, as do calls for a national inquiry. Because whilst the author of the report has identified around 1,400 victims of abuse here in Rotherham, she herself says it's a conservative estimate. No one truly knows the scale of what went on here.
Well, there's much more on this story on BBC Radio Sheffield. Their entire breakfast and it.
See, that's just not the only one though, is it? Do you know what I mean? It's happening in every town, every city. Do you know what I mean? But no one's asking the right questions. Do you know what I mean? And that's the problem. No one's investigating or asking the right questions about it. You know what I mean? Because no one wants to answer the ask the right questions. Do you know what I mean? Because it's always shh, and they know it's a career-ending situation to mention Freemasonry. I've got nothing to lose except my life. Yeah, that's me. You know, they can kill me, but obviously that'll have consequences if I sort of disappear or an accident happens. Do you know what I mean? They'll find a bunch of people up on their Masonic lodge with big banners. Do you know what I mean? Protests outside the lodge and all that sort of malarkey. Do you know what I mean? And a lot more. Do you know? But that's neither going near here nor there. That's just something, you know, what's a given. But the point of the matter is, this is what they never asked the right questions. You know what I mean? How many Freemasons were involved? Do you know what I mean? Because so long as the Freemasons are involved in all these inquiries, you know, IPCC for the police and CAS for the, which is just Freemasons working with the social services, if you know what I mean. They're all the same. They don't investigate themselves. You know, that's what I'm saying. They're all their investigative things are all shush up crews. Do you know what I mean? And shush up. How can we shush this person up? How can we what's it called? I used the word in the last video. I can't remember. You know, it's all not crowd control. You know what I'm on about, like news control. Do you know what I mean? How can we suppress the news? Do you know what I mean? That we, you know, this is what they do. That's why Freemasons never mentioned. Do you know what I mean? Because it's always shh, don't mention the Freemasons. You know, but if you listen to it, and I've got loads of these videos going up. I'm going to do a big upload on all of these. But if you just think Freemasons, because they've got the power to do it, and they have. They've done it for decades and centuries.
Things in Whitehall, you'll be very, because you've spoken about it over the past few days, of the issue that is rocking Westminster and the country, in fact, these allegations of historical child abuse and the fact that we really don't know what's been going on for a generation. It seems now today we're going to have an announcement of a review into a review that took place last year. Are we ever really going to find out what...
I'd just like to say, this is a generation of abuse, okay? The thing is that we didn't know about, right, according to this whatever, yeah? And we can say we didn't know about it, you know, we can say that, you know, we didn't know about it. But we know about it now, and the question is, what are you going to fucking do about it? Do you know what I mean? You know, because you know, and we all know, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to open the Profane Lodge and investigate Freemasons? Or are you going to keep shh and do their job for them? Do you know what I mean? Because that's what it's about. You know, anyway, I'll carry on. You know what I mean? I'll get a bit hyper about this, you know I do, but there you go. Here we go. I'll play this and you listen to it. The shush-ups and shush-ups.
Took place last year. Oh, we're really going to find out what happened, and what do we need to do to make sure that we do?
Well, I totally agree with you. I'm like everybody else. Firstly, I'm just all sickened by the nature of these allegations. I can't think of anything more revolting, really, than people in power working with each other, possibly, it is alleged, covering up for each other, to abuse the most vulnerable children in society. So we need to uncover the truth and have justice delivered. As you quite rightly alluded to, there are lots of investigations going on. There are investigations going on in the BBC, in the NHS, and most crucially, there are police investigations going on in the places where these terrible abuses were alleged to happen. There is also an issue about what happened to the documentation that was passed the Home Office. That will be the subject of further work, because we need more answers on that. But I just think at the end of the day, the only way we're going to get people charged, prosecuted, get people into court, get people behind bars, if that's what is merited, is by allowing the police to do their work. Yes, let's keep an open mind about how we look into this more broadly. But
see that? How broadly? Let the police do their job. What, Freemasons investigating Freemasons? You really think that's going to happen? Come on. This is what I mean. They keep throwing you placebos. Do you know what I mean? Freemasons don't investigate Freemasons. Do you know what I mean? They shush up for a brother. Do you know what I mean? And that's what the whole system is about. Shh. Do you know what I mean? Do not speak about Freemasonry. Do you know what I mean? Powerful people. That's all they keep going on about. Powerful people. Whether that's in, you know, the people in London who we know about, say, right? You know, they give the power to the towns and the cities. Do you see what I mean? And then the cities give the power, or the counties, or whatever. You know, whatever way you want to go at. You know, it goes down the pyramid. But everyone who's in power is in power for a reason, because they've been put there. Do you know what I mean? And most of them, near on every one of them, is a Freemason. Do you know what I mean? You're living in a Freemasonry corrupt world, and if you're profane, you ain't getting nothing out of them. They don't give two monkeys about you. You're the hated profane, you're a Cowan, and that is it. Anyway, I'll let this go again. Sorry I keep interrupting, but this is like one of my fortes. Do you know what I mean? I hate the Freemasons, trust me, with a passion. Do you know what I mean? And they know why. They know what they've done. You know what I mean? And there's no question about it. I can go. I mean, look, you know, there's going to be a time when cameras are going to come out, and we're going to do live feeds on these people. Do you know what I mean? And we're going to spring it on them. Do you know what I mean? What, you know, dun, and see where it goes. But anyway, that's another story. But anyway, here we go.
Look into this more. But I think the urgent need is to let the police get on with their work. If you've got any information, anyone's got any information, get in touch with the police. Yeah. At the end of the day, they're the only way in which we can have the long arm of the law actually delivering justice.
If you have one review after another, which is what seems we're happening, there's a danger things just get buried in time and under paperwork, and it all just vanishes away. So why not, as Labour is suggesting, have a proper public inquiry?
And there you go. You see, it gets buried in time, under paperwork, and all the rest of it. So they got these inquiries, yeah, and by the time, you know, anything's like, you know, this investigation, it's all buried and gone. Do you know what I mean? Because people forget about it. Because now we had coronavirus, for instance. Do you know what I mean? We have the Ukraine. Do you know what I mean? They're always giving you other things to look at. Do you know what I mean? And you got to stop that. Do you know what I mean? Stop looking at other things and look what's in within your town and see, is that inquiry happening? What's going on? What are the answers? What are the questions? Do you know what I mean? Because they get forgetting about and all the rest of it. Do you know what I mean? Freemason's still drawing his money, obviously. Do you know what I mean? For pretending to look into an investigation that he hasn't even looked into. Do you know what I mean? And that's what it's all about. And it's just buried all the time. They keep opening all these inquiries, but they're all shut down. No government will ever investigate itself. No Freemason will ever investigate another Freemason, yeah? And you've got them running through all of the whole infrastructure of every town and city, everything. Social services, police, courts, solicitors, barristers, you name it, judges, the frickin' lot, magistrate court. Everyone is fucking Freemason who's ever in charge. And if you go against that, then you're going to lose your job, you'll lose your house, and you'll be hounded, you will be followed. That is Freemasonry. Any threat. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, I'll carry it on again.
Well, as public inquiry is just another inquiry, which of course also would have, I guess, the challenge of not really looking into the things that the police are looking into. So look, I have an open mind. I want, like everybody else, for us to lift a lid on what happened, get to the truth, and make sure the victims, even these many years later, get justice. All I'm saying is I don't think we should do anything to in any way cut across or detract from the most important work of all, which is that the only people who are capable of delivering justice are the police. And that's why I think we shouldn't do anything which in any way detracts from that.
All right, Nicola, thank you very much.
Police don't investigate nothing, ever. Do you know what I mean? Especially if it's their Masonic brothers, like I said, you know, and it takes a lot of evidence, yeah, where there is evidence for them to get, you know, where they're stuck in a corner of it. Do you know what I mean? Because a funny handshake and a thing will get you free and clear. Do you know what I mean? And they know it. Do you know what I mean? You know, they'll say, well, what you do outside the lodge is your own business, but you are obliged under, under our laws. Do you know what I mean? You can't be protected by their laws because they're two different. They've got their own laws. They've got their own government. I've shown you that in videos. Do you know what I mean? So, but the point of the matter is, but what their laws and what they can do, they still have all the power enough to get an arrest squashed, to let you go if no profane person is going to speak up. Do you know what I mean? You're going to get away with it. And they'll get away with it for years and years and years. Just like Jimmy Savile, just like blah, blah, blah. And they all get caught up in the end, do you know what I mean, if you've got determined people. But most people ain't determined. They keep quiet, shh, and do what the Freemasons want you to do. And that's keep quiet and shut up, do you know what I mean? And that's how Freemasons get away with it. Here's another one, again, you know, and this is, you know, just because it's in Parliament, this is what I'm saying, it's happening in your town and in your city. You've only got to look, open a profane lodge and research and look. Don't look at the Masonic lodges, you ain't going to get anywhere. They'll have all their little security, internal, external, and all the rest of it around the lodge. That's not where you want to be looking. Look to their hotels and all the rest of what they own. Do you know what I mean? And you'll see it.
Right.
A former senior officer of Metropolitan Police says he was stopped from investigating historical child abuse allegations against politicians in 1998. Clive Driscoll, who retired recently, says his inquiry into what happened at children's homes in Lambeth in South London in the 1980s was viewed as inappropriate, and he was moved off the case.
See, moved off the case. Moved off by powerful people like the chief, whoever's above him, whether it's an MP or Prime Minister, and that's what they do. See, shush it up, shut it up, and that's how many years ago, do you know what I mean? But it comes out because the truth can't be silenced, do you know what I mean? But that's what they do, This is a typical shush up by Freemasonry, do you know what I mean? Because they own all, you go, like say you've got a normal constable, yeah, and you've got a sergeant, he's going to do what that sergeant says. Yeah, if he don't, then they'll bring a captain in, or whoever's above him, and they'll have two of them or three of them in the room, and they'll say, "You'll keep quiet about this and shut up." Do you know what I mean? And that's what he has to do, because he'll lose his job, he'll lose his pension. Do you see what I mean? And these people that do whistle, you need to protect them. But again, that's another story of what I like research, and that's another avenue I don't want to go down yet. But again, like I said, when you got whistleblowers, do you know what I mean? That's any threat or going to say something, you ain't getting into that circle of Masonic circle of shush up. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, they're going to keep you out. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, if it was like if if I was having a plan to invade Germany, I wouldn't be inviting Germans in, would I? Do you know what I mean? You know, or anyone's, you know, I'd have patriotic, you know, UK people in that meeting. Do you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, if you start inviting people in, that's where things get talked out, isn't it? This is why everything's shushed up so easy with Freemasonry. Anyway, I'll let it go again. Thank you for listening. I know I ramble on a bit, but hopefully you enjoy my videos. I don't know, but there you go. I love it.
Metropolitan Police say they're looking into his claims.
I know certainly in a case conference disclosed suspects' names 100%, that I was informed that that was inappropriate and that in fact that I would be moved from my post. At the time I just felt that it was all too uncomfortable to a lot of people.
A typhoon has killed its
So imagine that, do you know what I mean? Can you imagine that? Do you know what I mean? Like, you're working in McDonald's, you're going to do what your manager says. Well, let's just say the deputy manager, you'll do what he says, because if you don't, you're going to get sacked. So you will do what you're told, because you're obviously an underling, do you see what I mean? And if you don't do what the deputy manager says, the deputy manager then goes to the manager, and he says, well, he's not doing his job. So then the manager tells you off, and that reinforces that for you to shush or do as you're told. Do you see what I mean? And that's the whole life of how it works. Do you know what I mean? And if that don't work and you're a criminal organisation, they can send you like the big bays round. Do you know what I mean, or whatever? But that's how it works. Do you know what I mean? It works in every town and city. Do you know what I mean? But the corruption's around you. It's not just, you know, like you go over there. So it's everywhere in every town and city, and they've got it sewn up so good, the shushing, that no one's talking about it. Do you know what I mean? And people need to wake up to it. Now, I want to just show you this Grand Halen sign, yeah? There's two where you go, see, there's several, right? There's different Halen signs for different levels of Freemasonry, right? You know, on the rituals, yeah? So, you know, there's one where you, how can I say it? Like when you're bringing a plane in, you know, and you're waving two batons above your head. Obviously, you're not doing that. And you've got your arms square on, but you move your arms like like to a pyramid above your head, yeah? And then bring them out. So they're facing straight up in the air, your arms, yeah? Do you know what I mean? Like that. That's the Grand Halen sign, you know, like European, do you know what I mean? So there's different Grand Halen signs. Another one is like put your feet square, obviously, that's one of them, you know, and you do the same sign like that, yeah? But one's moving, you know, but there's all different ones. There's one's like this one's to the left, do you know what I mean? Or is he to the right? I think he's to the right, and he's gone to the right. You know, but there's all different Grand Halen signs, yeah, for Freemasonry. So when they're in trouble, and if you get into a fight and you ever see it happens and the person gives a Grand Halen sign who's in front of you, don't even bother fighting him, because every Freemason in that room is going to stomp you. Do you know what I mean? No one's going to protect you because you're profane, but they'll protect him because he's a brother, and that's a fact. Anyway, this is a Grand Hines facing the Orient. Lean forward. This is what they do, yeah. But I just want to show you it in this program here, yeah. Which is it cake, right? So what they do, they're making these cakes, and it's a competition, and they have to tell whether the cake is whether it's like they make a cake out of a shoe, yeah, and then they put 7 other shoes in there, and they have to guess which one is the cake, or you know, which is the real cake, you know what I mean, rather than a shoe, yeah. So here he is doing the Grand Halen sign. Look, he's got black and white trousers on. Yeah, and that's him doing the Grand Halen sign. Or, I mean, God, the amount of signs this guy give off is unreal, yeah? He's got black and white glasses on, black and white trousers for Freemasonry, right? And he gives the Grand Halen sign on a vote. I'm going to show you it, right? See? Now, we didn't know if these were anything, like the different, you know, because, like I said, everything with Freemasonry is, it's not all the same, do you see what I mean, yeah? Whether these mean it something, these beads, yeah? Because they're different, you know, they're symmetrical and they're different. Is that a sign? Is it saying something? I don't know. You know what I mean? See, look, that one's got 3 there. That one's got 2 there. See? So that in Freemasonry could symbolise something. Do you know what I mean? This could symbolise something in Freemasonry. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? But a Freemason would. Do you know what I mean? Well, anyway, that's another story. So here it is. I'll play this to you. It's only a minute. But this, watch the Masonic signage, what goes on in this program, so he wins, because it goes to a stat, like there's 3 of them get through, for instance, right? So they go, so then it's down to the judges to make a vote to who tastes the best, who is the better look and presentation and all that sort of thing, and he wins every time, and he wins 3 in a row. Do you know what I mean? I'm still watching the program. Whether he wins 4 in a row or the whole program, I don't know. You know. But watch this. It's great. I love it. Oh, let me fish that. I'm sure he's not winning though. He keep wearing black and white. But also look, see the compass and square and compass glasses. Look, one round for the compass and one square. Do you know what I mean? He just has the same over. This is why this guy keep winning. Do you know what I mean? He's got loads of. He keep throwing out gang signs and all sorts of stuff. Is this guy winning? Is it cake? I mean, take the judge for yourself. Look at it. He's throwing gang signs all the time. Do you know what I mean? He's got gang signs, tattoos, and he's winning all the competitions. He won 3 in a row. Do you know what I mean? Which was an impossibility because it didn't even look right. Anyway, what do I know? You know what I mean? But he keep wearing black and white, wearing compass and square glasses, square and compass. How obvious can you get? No wonder he's winning. See, now you're not telling me that represents the square and compass. Now you've been through enough of my videos to know the circle is a compass, and you know enough to make the square. Do you know what I mean? Square and compass. Do you know what I mean? And he's winning, and he's changing his glasses all the time. But you know, when I saw this pair, I thought, yeah, that's it, mate. You know what I mean? This is why he's winning. Have a great day, folks. Anyway, here's some more signage from the programme. Yeah. Unreal. Here we go. Look, watch the gang sign he do. I hope I can get this in. You'll see the guy with the green hair. Look, see, arms behind back, right? See? Right. Now, some of the camera miss. Wait there. Let me get the next. Arms behind back. All right. Watch when it comes to the. Now, what he do? He's got his arms behind his back, right? And I keep saying arms behind back, showing you each time that it goes to him. It shows you with his arms behind his back. Yeah. When it goes to the vote, you'll see his arms come out, and then he does the Masonic signage. Watch it. So he wins. The picking and the choosing. Watch the act. Look. Behind back, hands at signs. Look, hands behind back. Hands behind back. Watch. Hands behind back. Watch. Hands behind back. Watch the gang sign come in. Look. Watch. Look, hands behind his back. Right. Look. Now watch the gang sign come in. Watch. Hands behind the back. Oh, you'll have to watch it yourself anyway. I just want to prove. Look, see, hands behind back. Watch him go for the gang sign. Look, get ready. Hands behind back. Look, listen to this. There it is. You see it? See it? No wonder he keep winning. Look, watch. Look, it'll come up. You'll see it as soon as he go into it. Look, hands behind back. Watch. Look, hands behind back. I'll pause it. Watch. There it is. Do you see that? He knows exactly what he's... Did you see his face? Look, these are the judges now going up to judge the food, right? Yeah. So he's got his hands behind his back, every shot, right? Now there it is, look. There's the gang sign, look. He knows exactly what he's doing, even in his facial expressions. You'll have to go watch the programme yourself. But it's just amazing how they do it, how he does it. There it is. Do you see that? Again anyway. He knows exactly what he's doing. And that's why he keeps winning the competition. Nothing to do with his... well, he is talented, obviously, yeah. And when the guy got to choose this steak thing, he was gutted. Do you know what I mean? He was right miffed off with it. You can see it. You know, they even question him on it, yeah. Because he likes blood and gore and guts and things. You know what I mean? He does macabre stuff, yeah. So anyway, but there it is again, look, you know what I mean? Like I said, the proof is always there. They show you all the time. You know what I mean? Let's see if I can pause it on the game sign. Hands behind back, yeah? You know what I mean? Don't forget he's wearing his square and compass glasses. Right there. Square and compass there. He knows exactly what he's doing. Do you know what I mean? Unreal. Oh yeah, go forward. Oh, where are they? Wait a minute. Oh, there it is. Yeah, look. You can see his start. The head. There it is. There. Look. He knows exactly what he's doing. Hands behind back. Hands behind back. But as soon as they go up there to judge, look. Hands behind back. Get ready. There it is. Look. He's coming up for the gangs. Look. He knows exactly what he's doing. Just see if I can go back again. I'm so amazed. I'll tell you. This one, but. You watch. See what I mean? Here they go. The judges are going to go forward. He's standing there, look, and watch his hands come up. I hope you're getting this. Look, hands behind back. Watch the gang sign. There it comes, look. He knows exactly what he's doing. Because they got a final decision who wins. Do you know what I mean? Because it's gone into a tie break. And every tie break, he comes out with a gang sign and he gets picked. You know what I mean? Anyway, have a great day, folks. See, and that's how it is in TV. But they don't just do it in the TV. They're doing it around you in your town and in your city. Do you know what I mean? Because you're cowards. You don't see it because you don't know nothing about it. But I'm going to hopefully later on in this video show you a couple of signs you can watch out for. Do you know what I mean? And then that'll teach you just to watch out, because they give a sign and then it's a penal sign. Do you know what I mean? And I'll show you. Now, obviously, before I start the video, can you see him there? Look, doing the sign again, look, which gives the pyramid. Do you know what I mean? He don't stop this dude, you know, but he only does it when it comes to the pick, yeah, because they're going to pick, and then he gives the sign. Look.
Right, here we go again. Look, see his little fiddler, his little gang sign. He just does it all the time. This is why he keeps.
Now he's sitting down this time.
You know what I mean? He knows exactly what he's doing. See, look, his little pyramid. He knows exactly.
He's up for £15,000, and he was, you know, and he got into the, you know, the big money.
It was at the end of it. You know what I mean? We've got you sus, mate. You know what I mean? That's the only reason he's winning, and he keep doing it.
Right. So he kept doing it. So he got into the big money. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, by doing them gang signs. Yeah, I think, you know, I can't remember what the value was. It might have been 20,000 or 30,000. I don't know. Or was it the 50,000? I don't know. So he got into it. Do you know what I mean? Because he done that pyramid. Do you know what I mean? That's how bad it is. And then you've got this guy here. Yeah, he's wearing the Masonic 232 shirt, look, or the 323. Do you know what I mean? And he does the gang signs as well. Watch this. It's unreal.
Bum sign. I don't know what he's doing. But rubbing his thumb between his fingers. Whether that's something or not, I do not know. Oh, he's now gone back to sit down. Wait. We're going to see him do his little gang sign again. But wait there. I'll just try to show you this geezer. There he is, look. Watch him, look, he does the finger movement, look. Right? And he does it again. Why he keeps doing that, I don't know. So we've got him doing the old thingy sign there, the old fingers. Get ready. We pause it when he comes to it again. Oh. No, he didn't do it, I missed it. It don't matter. Anyway, you get the idea. We've got to watch these gang stalking Freemasons. Anyway, have a great day, folks.
Yeah, he was doing another sign with his thumb. Yeah, he's doing 3 between his index finger and his thing. He was moving his thumb 3 times, and I thought, well, why do you keep doing that? But I didn't know if he was signaling them back to the other dude. You know what I mean? Like I said, their signage is subtle, and they learn it. Do you know? It's like you see someone standing in front of you do sign language to you. You wouldn't have a clue. Do you know what I mean? But if you learn it, you know exactly what they're saying, you know, whether it's A, B, C, D, E, F, right through the alphabet. Do you know what I mean? Same as Braille. You put a Braille book in front of yourself and you try reading that Braille, you don't know. But these Freemasons, they learn all that, you know, and this is what they do. And their signals are just the same, you know, and they're hidden. But anyway, look at this, look, this is the way this geezer won, yeah. The white on these cups, yeah, they couldn't see, you know, they made out they couldn't see that the white stripes round the cups weren't in perfection. Do you know what I mean? Here we go.
Which is right. This is the cups, the ones. But look at this deformity on there, on the ring.
Look at that deformity on them cups, right? They're so out of place. anyone could spot that, but they pretended they couldn't see it. Do you know what I mean? Because that was all squiggly.
Yeah. And you're telling me they couldn't pick that out? Do you know what I mean?
Where everything else was, you know, perfect. Look, do you know what I mean? Unreal. But that's what I mean. His gang signs got him through anyway.
Everything else, look, is spot on. Spot on. Do you see what I mean? You cannot disguise the formality of the rings.
See? And the only one that looks, you know, out of place is his, look. Do you know what I mean? For starters, the rings are way too far spread apart. They're wobbly. Do you know what I mean? And these judges couldn't even pick it out and say it was fake. Come on.
Rings on this, and they couldn't pick that out. Come on, do you know what I mean? So this guy I'm sure this guy keeps winning because he's a Freemason. Do you know what I mean? Or he keeps flashing black and white. Do you know what I mean?
And that's it. Go to the next one. Now you'll see another gang sign on the show, and what do you know? This is me predicting as I'm going along, and I've just rewound it, yeah, because I didn't know. So you'll see yourself where I go, I bet, you know, and then you'll see it that I get the prediction right. It's so stupid, I'll tell you. They're thick as shit, these Freemasons.
He's now going to pick the two. She's going to pick who she's going to fake with, right? Okay. Now, who do you think out of these people here is she going to pick? Whoa, yeah. Not only they do make me laugh, I'll tell you. She's now going to pick one of these.
And I don't think she's going to pick this man here, even though he's wearing 232 and 323. Do you know what I mean? See, now the thing is, he's given the hand sign. He's wearing the shirt, right? Now, if you watch the Profane in this lineup, yeah, you look at their faces and compare it to his face. It speaks volumes. Do you know what I mean? Because he knows he's getting picked. The Profane, they've got the worried look, yeah, like, you know, oh, apprehension. You can see the worry in their face, whether they're getting picked or not. Do you know what I mean? His face, he just knows he's getting picked. Yeah, I don't think. Oh, mate, you know exactly what he's doing there. You know what I mean? They're all like thingying, you know what I mean? But he's like ready for it. Look, they're all like got emotion. Where's his emotion? He knows exactly what he's doing. Anyway, have a great day. Honestly, if you watch that, yeah, when you see their faces, right? Their faces like are really doubtful. Do you know what I mean? They're all like. Where is she? She's emotion. See, look, see? His emotion. Yeah, look at the doubt in their faces. You can see it. But him, he knows. He knows. Oh, I paused it. That's exactly what he's doing. Anyway, have a great day. And then, strangely enough, we see, we'll see who get picked. Watch this. She's now going to pick her second person, right? Obviously she's picking the second person, because if she'd have gone straight through him, it would have looked... Because what happened, the first person she picked, yeah, right, I thought, oh, maybe I was wrong, you know? But then I thought, well, no, she didn't pick him first, because that would have been obvious. Do you see what I mean? So I'll pick him, you know, I'll pick him as the second person, because then it looks less obvious, yeah? So anyway, here it is. Us. Because she had to pick two people. There he is. Look, he knows. Oh yeah, that gang sign helped. Oh look, the Profane, look, and they're getting sent to the bench. The Profane gets sent to the bench. Profane. Oh dear. Look, now here he is. Look, there it is. He's still gang signing. All right, watch. Still gang signing. Right. Now watch when they go to find the clip. Look. Oh, let me just move on. I'll go on over the step there a bit. There. And when it goes to the final piece, oh, these poor Profane people, look, they don't realise what they've been up against, do they? All these little gang signs these Freemasons do. You know what I mean? But look, when it goes to the final picture here, look, now look at his hands, look. Just natural, because the competition, there's no picking, there's no nothing to do. See? All the picking. More likely signal him, and he would signal her, for all I know. Do you know what I mean? See what I mean? So all the hand signals now are all stopped and gone because he's been picked. He's got what he wanted, so he doesn't need to do the hand sign no more, you see? So in the next picture, it just his hands go natural, do you know what I mean? Yeah. Signal her. Look at that. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, who knows? Like I said, it just proves my point every time. These little Masonic Freemasons are all around you, signing and they're just one gang, you know what I mean? There's two separate people in this life. That's the Profane versus the gang of Freemasons. And that's what it is. That is Freemasons versus the Profane. We're fucking stupid to them, do you know what I mean? They think we're dumbasses, you know what I mean? And they're giving their little gang signs round you, giving it all that and all the step two and all your old bullshit, do you know what I mean? Because that's all they care about is themselves and their brothers and their sisters, do you know what I mean? Don't forget the women, do you know what I mean? They're just as deadly as the men. So here I go, because remember this video, when I started, you know, when it started doing 1, 2 and 3, it was about 232, 323, do you know what I mean? So after this video, this is 89, I'm going to go to 90, and everything from then on is going to be everything's going to be all the square and compasses that I see within TV programs, do you know what I mean? So it'll be, you know, and how they sneakily get it in, blah blah blah. But here's one here. This is how when I say 2 diamonds make the square and compass. This is the perfect example, yeah. And this film's what film is this? The Hitman's Bodyguard's Wife or something. Yeah, Hitman's Wife Bodyguard, something like that. Anyway, but the 2 diamonds you'll see, which are here and here, make the square and compass. Look. So when I say 2 diamonds make square and compass, like I said, they don't have to put the lines in. They've done it here, thankfully for us. But that's what that makes. 2 diamonds make the square and compass. So when you see 2 diamonds side by side, that means square and compass. Yeah.
This is a classic example where I see 2 diamonds, 1 diamond, 2 diamonds.
And there it is, look, square and compass. 2 diamonds make square and compass. See? So when I say, oh, we know 2 diamonds make square and compass, that's exactly what I'm alluding to. Because they don't put these lines in, they just put 2 diamonds. And then you have to put the lines in yourself, which then makes a square and compass. Okay? Just so you know about when I say 2 diamonds make square and compass.
Square and compass. And that's when I say 2 diamonds make a square and compass, that's what it makes. And that's why it's on there now. Because that's just showing you square and compass. Do you know what I mean? For them Freemasons, again, you know, noticing his Masonic suit, look, do you know what I mean? Oh, you can't get better than this. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, you've got the pyramids, blah, 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 and it goes on and on. But that's when I say 2 diamonds make pyramid, make square and compass, that's what that represents there, that square and compass, 2 diamonds, you see? That's what that is. They know that anyway, but you know. They know everything. You want to know what goes on in the world, you see your Freemasons. And there you go. Do you know what I mean? It's so blatant. Do you know what I mean? They know 3 pyramids, square and compass, as above, so below, pyramid in the middle, obviously. Do you know what I mean? Masonic tie. And then, like I said, through the film, you'll see, you know, the black and white tiled floor, all the reference to Freemasonry, everything, you know. This guy's a bit of a hero. He he ripped a cornerstone out of a Masonic lodge, yeah? Great guy, what a hero. Anyway, let's have a watch him. What a dude, you know what I mean? I hope he got away with it. Do you know what I mean? I know he's got his back, look, by the look of things, I don't know. And that's it. He got away with the cornerstone. Well, I hope he did anyway. Do you know what I mean? One for the profane people, innit? Now this is a secret do-guard and a sign, yeah? So it's a do-guard, you get the sign, and then like I said, it comes with a penal sign, yeah? Do you know what I mean? They'll signal one or the other to each other, and then it goes up, you know what I mean? But this is how you have to do it. This ain't going to get, you know, again, this won't get you into lodges and things like that. Like I say, you've got passwords, you've got to have your papers and all that malarkey. So, but this is what you got to lock for, because they do this when you're standing in a pub, trust me.
Hello, my name is Jay Hort, and I'm with Freemasonry Facts. And today I would like to show you the Dugar and sign of an entered apprentice. This is the Dugar and sign of an entered apprentice. The Dugar is a symbol indicating the position of the hands when the candidate takes their oath at the altar on the Holy Bible or sacred book of their faith. The left hand supports the sacred book of their faith, and the right hand rests on the sacred book of their faith. The penalty is the hand being drawn across the...
See, now where he says that, he is a bit slack in doing that. They are a bit more stricter on it, do you know what I mean? Whether that's different to where he learns it, but he's very slack and casual with it. But they do that anyway. Like I said, they do little signs that comes, like you're wearing a, say for instance, you're wearing a baseball cap, yeah, then you go from left to right over the baseball cap. which signifies the same thing anyway. Do you know what I mean? As the throat cut, do you know what I mean, or the belly cut, you know, depending on, you know, whatever sign you're given. But it always comes with a penal sign. Do you know what I mean? You give the sign, the do-guard, and then it comes with a penal sign. Yeah, this one is, I think that's the heart rip out.
Throat and dropped, and this to the penalty, which is having your throat cut and your tongue ripped out and discarded, and that's the penalty for revealing the secrets of Freemasonry. In each of the degrees, the do-guard and sign are different, and this is how a candidate is identified by what signs they can perform at the stated meetings or whatnot. Everybody knows who the candidate is and what degree they've been through, but if the candidate were to go to another lodge, they would ask them to present the signs and do-guards of each degree that they know, so they can get into a lodge meeting that is opened in that rank. And this is the entered apprentice again. It's this, the left hand supporting, right hand resting, across the throat, and drop your hand. That is the sign, or the do-guard and sign of an entered apprentice. In future videos, I will show you the fellowcraft, as well as the Master Mason degrees, do-guards, and signs. I appreciate your time watching. If you have any questions, post them in the comment section below. Check out my Facebook page, Freemasonry Facts. If you want to find out anything about Freemasonry, reach out to me, and I will do my best to answer your questions to the best of my ability. Check out the rest of my videos. Thanks for watching.
See, so that's two signs there, yeah? One is what you give, and one is what you receive, yeah? Do you know what I mean? Like the penal signs, yeah? And that's how they do it on a recognition in a simple way in a pub. But the signs can be so subtle that you wouldn't even know they're doing it. Do you know what I mean? And like I said, they'll draw each other, and then you'll go through the ritual. What you know, where do you come from? You know, I come from the west, or going to the east, and all that crap. Do you know what I mean? And like I said, some of it, you know, you put your hands on top of your head. You know what I mean? The temple's falling in, tap your feet 3 times. All of that malarkey. Do you know what I mean? You know, what is this object? You know, but these are the simple first signs you will see they will do. Do you know what I mean? You know, you see someone do the old point, you know, point the finger 3 times left and right and all that malarkey. It's all a load of shite. But here is the second degree now, which is the fellowcraft. Again, has two signs.
Hello, I'm Jay Hortonberry with Freemasonry Facts. And today, I'd like to show you the do-guard and sign of a fellowcraft. The do-guard and sign of a fellowcraft. The do-guard, again, alludes to the position of the hands the candidate has placed them when they're taking their oath at the altar before becoming a fellowcraft. The right hand resting on the Bible, the left arm is forming a right angle, a square, and it's also supported by a square by one of the officers of the lodge. They're actually physically holding a square there, holding your arm in that position as you take your oath. The sign of a fellowcraft is the right hand cupped over the left breast, dropped down like that, and it's to indicate your left breast being torn open and your heart given to the beast of the field. And it's a reminder of the oath that you've taken, of the penalties thereof, so that you won't forget the penalty, basically. And that is the the do-guard and sign of a fellowcraft. Check out my other videos where I show you the do-guard and sign of an entered apprentice and the do-guard and sign of a Master Mason. If you have any questions, put them in the comment section and I'll be happy to answer them. Check out my Facebook page, Freemasonry Facts. You can also check out my website at Freemasonry Facts. And thanks for watching.
If you want, oh, I'm missing a video. Oh, here he is. I'd skip twice. Now, like I said, you can give some of these signs. Yeah, they don't like it if you do. You'll see a nasty Mason come out if you do. But give some of these signs, and you'll see you'll get the ones back. You know, that you'll get the penal sign come back to you. Do you know what I mean? Like they do. You know, like for instance, you see a man. It don't matter who the fuck it is, or a woman. Don't matter who it is. And you want to see if they're a Freemason, say, have you seen my dog run past there? Right? And they'll say, did it have a blue collar on? then you'll know they're a Freemason. Do you know what I mean? And you say, and then they'll say, you know, things like what was the dog's name, Hiram, you know, and all that crap. Do you know what I mean? But that's how you can find Freemasons walking the streets. Do you know what I mean? Because that's what they do. You know, and when they find out, they know they've got a brother there. Then what can possibly help them? And like I said, they've got signs on their houses and all them little recognition things. You know what I mean? Like this is their Master Masons anyway. But like I said, there's so much you know that they do, the signage around you. Do you know what I mean? That you don't even know it's there. You know, can you tie a bow? Do you know what I mean? And someone go, yeah, I can tie my shoelaces or I can tie a tie. But that's the wrong answer, you see, because they're handshake. Like I said, don't forget you've got a step off on this. You've got a step. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, like a stance. You've got a password to it and you've got a handshake as well. Do you know what I mean? So that comes, you know, and there's a spiel to it as well, what you have to memorise. Do you know what I mean? So it ain't just simple things like this, but you can trick Freemasons to think you're a Freemason. Do you know what I mean? You do these stances and that, they will come, you know, they will come up and try and shake your hand and give you the Masonic shake and give you the passwords. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, just test it, you know, and see. Anyway, here's a Master Mason.
Hello, my name
Or a
is Jay
Master
Horton,
Moron.
and I'm with Freemasonry Facts. Welcome back. Today, I want to show you the Dugar and sign of a Master Mason. The Dugar, just like in the first 2 degrees, alludes to the position of the candidate's hands when they're taking their oath on the sacred books of their faith. Okay? The penalty, or I'm sorry, the sign of a Master Mason alludes to the penalty in the oath. In this case, it's your body being cut in two, your bowels taken out, and burned to ashes. So this is the Dugar and sign of a Master Mason. Check out my other videos where I show you the Dugar and sign of an entered apprentice, the Dugar and sign of a fellowcraft. I really appreciate you watching these videos. If there's anything you want to know about Freemasonry, I will tell you the truth from a biblical standpoint. Check out my Facebook page, Freemasonry Facts.
And there we go. Now we get on to the, you know, I mean, these are the people, this is what you're up against. You know what I mean? When I say I hate Freemasonry, there's a reason for that. Do you know what I mean? You know, and I hate Freemasons, yeah? They've been involved in my life a very, very long time, these people. Do you know what I mean? Following me up and down the country. Well, I'm going to get into that now anyway. It's another story. That'll come anyway. But here we go again. And listen to this. I mean, if you've seen it, you can just fast forward it from here. It's a 17-minute video. It's worth everything just to watch her experiences. And when she says she's, you know, she's frightened and she's going to get killed, she's not saying that for nothing. Do you know what I mean? No way. You know. So here we go. Enjoy. Well, it's not an enjoyment, is it? It's, you know, what I mean is like, you know, enjoy the lesson, what we're going to learn today, you know what I mean? Because these are all lessons that we all need to learn, and we need to wake up, you know, share my videos, get it out there, do you know what I mean? Download these videos, what I make, you know, because these Freemasons will shush them up as quick as lightning. They don't want this out there. If you're on the front line and you're profane and you want to help, then you download all my videos and you share them everywhere, you upload them everywhere, and you advertise it, do you know what I mean? Take everything I got, you know, upload it to your own website, you know, make a way, everything, do everything. It doesn't, you know, because this is what we need to do, because no one knows. That's all shh, don't mention the Freemasons. Anyway, I'll play this, enjoy.
Hello, this is Carly, and today is Monday, February 11th of 2019. This is going to be the most important video that I have made yet. I'm going to be telling you the names, the places, and everything. So if somebody could please, in case anything happens to me, if anything should happen to me after divulging this information to the public, I hope that somebody will save this video or download it to their computer and maybe re-upload it in the future, because I think that after this video I will be facing some serious repercussions for what I'm exposing. I had to type it out because there's so much information, and I want to keep the video at, you know, under like 20 minutes because there's just a lot to talk about, and I know that when I'm just kind of talking from the heart, I usually like pause, or I may, you know, lose my train of thought. So I'm going to be reading off of a document that I typed up because it's just going to be better that way. This is a detailed written account of my events. These repressed memories surfaced in mid-August of 2018 through January of 2019, over 2 decades after the abuses took place. My parents, Carl Walter Franz and Holly Marie Johnson, got married in 1989, and I was born in 1990. My father's father, so my grandfather, Hilmar Franz, purchased a home in La Mesa, California for my parents to live in. However, the title was never given to them. It was always kept in my grandfather's name, albeit the house is currently in a living trust, cryptically named the Franz Survivors Trust. My parents divorced in 1992, and while my father continues and still does, he lives in this house, my mother moved out to live with her sister Shelley and brother-in-law Charles in neighboring Spring Valley, California, in a house on Bancroft View Drive. My parents had joint custody of me, with my mother being the primary custodian. In June of 1996, during my last week of kindergarten, on a Thursday, while I was in the care of Shelley and Charles as my mother was on a work trip, I was taken from the Spring Valley house, abducted in a van and under the darkness of early morning by my father's great uncle, so my grandfather's brother, Dieter Franz. Dieter's wife, Lindy Franz, who is in the Eastern Star cult, my father's father, so my grandfather, Hilmar Franz, and his wife, Jean Franz. She's dead now. And they were all in the van. My grandfather's brother, so Dieter Franz, was the person who came into the house to take me. My mother's brother-in-law, my Uncle Charles, was there, and he tried to stop Dieter from taking me. They got into a physical scuffle, and Dieter threatened Charles' life by telling him that he would kill him. He had a gun. If he didn't step aside and let me be taken. Charles did not have a gun. My Aunt Shelley was sitting on the staircase witnessing this. Their bedroom was upstairs and mine was downstairs. I remember Dieter wearing a leather jacket, hat, and gloves as he carried me out of the house in Spring Valley, out the front door. Charles held the door open with a look of shame and sadness on his face that he tried to somewhat hide behind the door. I was taken in the van to my great-uncle's house in Los Alamitos, California, which is in Orange County. And I remember my grandfather Hilmar and his brother Dieter arguing in German in front of me outside of the door to Dieter's home garage. I believe that my grandfather was trying to stop Dieter from what he was about to do. Dieter was wearing a Nazi officer's hat and shorts and a shirt. My grandfather, Hilmar, closed the side door to the garage as Dieter was shoving me into the back seat of his car, a gold Cadillac with Master Mason's license plates, which was parked in the garage. Dieter sat on the back seat and told me to take my clothes off. I refused and began crying. He grabbed me, took off my underwear, and pulled me onto his lap, to which his penis was exposed. I fought him as he was raping me, and he eventually let go of me. I urinated in his car, which infuriated him, and then he shoved me out of it. I was then taken into the house where there was porn being played in the living room. There was a little girl there that appeared to be around my age, and she was naked. I was told to sit on the couch and to not go anywhere. I could hear another child being abused in one of the bedrooms down the hall. I tried to talk to this little girl, but she didn't understand English, and she was not white. She was tan and had black hair. We were ordered to drink juice boxes in this living room, which were laced with some kind of sedative. After consuming the juice boxes, we were taken down the hallway that branched into bedrooms. In one bedroom to the right side, I saw my grandmother Jean sitting on a bed in her underwear, and she had a look of disgust and sadness about her. Dieter took me and this little girl into a bedroom on the left side and closed the door. This room had a bed, lots of child-sized lingerie hanging everywhere, pornographic photos of children on the wall, and it was at this point that I passed out. I do not remember the details of what went on in this bedroom. When I awoke from the sedatives at night, I was driven to the Bellflower Masonic Center in Los Alamitos, California. Los Alamitos is in Orange County, and it's about an hour and a half north of San Diego. And so these relatives, perpetrators on my father's side of the family, live in Los Alamitos too. Upon exiting this van that I was abducted in, a stranger carried me into the building and away from the people who were familiar to me. I could feel their presence leaving me as I was brought into the building and down to the basement. First, there was a long hallway with metal cages lining the entire distance. There had to have been about 50 cages, and half of them were empty, while the other half contained naked children. I was first brought into an all-pink room with a satanic star on the wall, where about 15 to 20 of the Eastern Star cult women rubbed me and molested me while love-bombing me with sayings like, "You're so lucky to be chosen." Lindy was in this room and conversing with the other Eastern Star women. I was then taken into a gold-gilded hallway with red carpet, chandeliers, mirrors. In this hallway, I only witnessed one old-looking woman who was dressed in a long black dress with long sleeves, lots of jewelry, tons of makeup, and short black hair. She kind of looks like Shirley MacLaine. All of the other people there were men, and they were dressed in tuxedos, Freemason regalia such as medals, aprons, their necklaces. We took a left turn into another hallway and then a right turn into a long dining room that was crowded with these men, and men only. There was a gilded two-headed bird on the wall at the end of the table with gold raised behind it. And this room had blue carpet with gold stars and one large light fixture in the center of the room. When I was brought into the room, the faces of the men lit up with excitement, and I was brought to the end of the table and placed on an altar which had a large book, probably the Bible, on it. And this book was removed when I was placed on the altar. There was a cameraman there with a very large black camera resting on his right shoulder. I was stripped naked out of my pajamas in this room in front of at least 100 men as they jeered and whistled at me. They proceeded to hold me face down on my stomach and inserted a foreign object far into my anus. I remember the feeling of going deaf for a moment when this happened. As I was held down, the men proceeded to form two lines and took turns raping me. Some of the men wanted me face up and others face down. Some performed rape and some performed other sexual performances. I was forced to remain face up when it was Dieter's turn to rape me. My grandfather did not want to make eye contact with me when it was his turn. There were about 20 men left in line when they had to stop because I was bleeding. When the sexual abuse was over and the room seemed to have kind of cleared out, a smaller group of men, around 10 people, came into this dining room dressed in long hooded robes. They were kind of dark brown in color. One of them brought a little boy who appeared to be around my age into the room on a rolling cart or altar. This little boy was strapped to the cart he was on, and one man in a hooded robe began to cut the boy open in the chest and proceeded to torture him. There was a man standing a little ways behind him wearing what appeared to be a cow skull or goat skull. At this time, I was placed inside of an animal carcass, but I could still see things going on in the room. As this little boy was being cut open alive, the man doing this was also bending over him and appeared to be eating the boy's entrails and blood. When the boy died and his scream stopped, a black mist appeared in the center of the room, at the same distance that this little boy's body was from me, and I'm still at the head of the table on the altar. The men were chanting, and I remember them saying Lucifer. The black mist in the center of the room grew larger, and this demon was summoned. I saw its red eyes, and it was speaking in another language. Its voice sounded like thunder. The room filled with the black darkness, and then I was taken into another room. This room was a surgical-looking room, and a male with brown hair and glasses cleaned me up. He was wearing a mask and surgical robes. He sat me in a chair, strapped my arms down, and then proceeded to make a small incision in the middle of my left forearm. He took out a large syringe, and inside was a clear capsule that contained a small circular part that connected to a small rectangular chip with a wire. He put a band-aid on my arm, and then I was taken into another room. This next room had a baby chained to the wall with extremely bruised and mangled legs. Another baby was brought out on a cart, and this baby was white and wearing a diaper. They ordered me to kill the baby, and I refused. They even put a knife in my hand and threatened to kill me, and I still refused. This baby was taken away, back to the baby chained to the wall. The damage to this baby's body was so severe that I couldn't tell if it was a boy or a girl. As this baby cried and screamed, I was forced to watch as a laughing man in a short-sleeved police officer uniform and hat stabbed the baby in the head, killing it. I was then chained to the floor in this room. The floor had black and white checkered pattern to it, and the room was dimly lit. Wooden pallets were used in this room as wall dividers. To my left side, there was another child chained to the floor, but when I tried to talk to this child, I received no response. This child was in fact dead. I was just barely able to touch this dead child's hand on my left side, and I felt crusty. As I laid on the floor terrified, I could hear other children being abused and hurt on the other side of the wall of pallets. I remember trying to find a safe place in my mind, and I thought about a bright white room to try to cope with what I was experiencing. When it was time to leave, I was carried out of the building, and I remember trying to see where I was and observe everything that I could outside of the building before I got into the van and taken back to the Spring Valley house. I saw the long hallway of crates of children again before being taken up the staircase and outside. I remember the Masonic compass and G glowing on the side of the building, and I remember what the Bellflower Masonic Center looked like near the roof line of the building. The car ride back to Spring Valley was quiet, and there were about 7 police officers at the house when I returned. 2 officers took me to my room and threw me down on my bed. They stood at my door and threatened me that if I were to ever speak out, I would be killed along with everyone that I loved. I was so tired and afraid, I cried myself to sleep. The next morning when I woke up, my Uncle Charles came to my room, and it looked like he had been crying. He asked me to keep this a secret and never talk about it. Sorry. I was dressed in a long-sleeve corduroy dress and leggings before being taken to school. When I arrived at school, several kids came running to me, asking if I was okay. What happened to me? The kids said that I was on the news. The following nights were really difficult for me, as I had sleep problems and I was extremely afraid of the dark. I would look at the bruises on my arms and just feel terrified. The memories from my abuse haunted me, and I felt very stuck, alone, afraid to talk about what happened. I believed the police, that if I spoke out when I was little, I would end up just like the children who were murdered. I promised myself that someday when I was old enough, big enough, and strong enough, that I would know what to do. Sorry. I would lay awake in bed at night as a little girl, and these memories would play in my mind over and over. I tried to block these memories out of my mind. It was a normal thing for my grandfather and grandmother to drive down to La Mesa every other weekend from their home in Los Alamitos and stay with my father and I for the weekend. Weekends were my father's custody time with me. I remember trying to ask my grandmother what certain government uniforms looked like, as I was desperate to find out what these blue and white embroidered aprons were about. But at the same time, I knew that I wouldn't get a straight answer from her, and I didn't. Grandmother Jean was revered by many people as a very sweet old lady, but it was just a facade. She would never speak about the things that she was forced to do. Dieter and Lindy were also present at many family events, frequent barbecues, pool parties, holidays with his wife, and they were even present at the last visit that I had to my grandfather's house in Los Alamitos a few years ago. It was at this last visit that my great-uncle divulged to me in a proud, matter-of-fact way that he's a Freemason. Growing up, my grandfather and his brother would joke about staying away from garlic, and I never understood it until now. Freemasons participate in blood drinking, child sacrifice rituals, vampirism. I also have memories of seeing my father's genitalia up close and in my face, taking a shower with me when I was about 6 or 7. I remember touching his genitals as he turned away from me when he started to get an erection. Throughout my childhood, there were instances of being in my father's care, and he would against my will tell me that he needed to rub Nivea cream on my crotch, which was just pure molestation. Why couldn't I do that myself? Sometimes my grandparents were there too on a visit, and they didn't bat an eye at this. He would do this with the door open, so I never knew if I was being helped or if it was just my pedophile family members all being complicit with each other in my abuse. Eventually, this stopped as I got older, but I never understood why I wasn't allowed to put moisturizing cream on myself if it was, in fact, some necessity. Around the time of my cousin being born, my aunt's daughter, I witnessed her Monarch program paperwork on the coffee table. The distinct font in butterfly sitting on the M of the monarch logo is still clear in my mind. I saw the words Dark Princess, and I am certain that this was the enslavement paperwork for this cousin. I remember hearing my mother and her sister talking about the MKUltra Monarch program paperwork, specifically regarding what they should do if someone were to wake up and try to expose what is going on. They said that Dr. Phil is a code word for making someone disappear. And this will make the abused person think that they're trying to help them, but they really aren't. It's the exact opposite. They also mentioned Rick Ross as being the facilitator of these abused victims disappear, but having an attorney friend that is close to Dr. Phil is their code word for silencing anyone coming forward. They did not know that I could hear them talking about this, but I remember thinking that this was very important information at the time and kept it to myself. I eavesdropped on my mother talking to a friend in 1997 about her MKUltra involvement, and this friend asked about how her new fiancé felt about it. My father and mother always pushed me to do certain things that ended up being detrimental to my success in life, and coerced me to make choices that kept me in a constant state of dependency so that I could not escape them. In high school, I was pressured by my mother to not focus on school and start working as soon as it was legal. My father pressured me not to work and live with him during college so that he could keep me as a maid, forced me to see and visit my perpetrators, and continue to verbally abuse me, all while looking like the person and people who are helping me by paying for my community college and loaning me a car to drive. I have made my presence known via the internet, Reddit, YouTube, and I will not remain silent on what happened to me. It's happening all the time. The police, CPS, Freemasons, doctors, therapists, nurses, Department of Defense, the CIA, the Department of Health, they are all complicit in the abuse that took place because they are all in the cult of concealing each other's crimes. Freemasonry and Order of the Eastern Star.
And that is facts. Freemasons obviously will tell you that's a load of quat, you know what I mean? But these people, these profane people, ain't speaking, ain't for nothing. I'm not saying what I'm saying because I'm an innocent person. I've been persecuted by these people, do you know what I mean? So I'm speaking from knowledge of what they're capable of, and I know what they're capable of, don't we, my Masonic friends? Anyway, here's another one. I'm going to do, again, she was earliest memories of childhood sexual ritual abuse at a Masonic temple. Now, I'm not making this up. This is people here. These are profane people. Do you know what I mean? They're not saying it for nothing. And these people don't even know each other. Do you know what I mean? So where there's smoke, I suppose there's no fire, eh? Hey, friends. But like I said, look, I've got tons of videos. I'll be uploading all these anyway. There's like so much corruption here. You know, getting shush-ups. You got to see Kay Griggs. Look her up. Kay Griggs, Illuminati wife. She'll tell you. She tells you the same thing, but on a big scale. You know, army and all this sort of stuff. But you just got to look at the small scale. You know, within your towns and within your cities. But I'll be uploading all of this. I've got so many Masonic shush-ups. You know, like the government, police. Do you know what I mean? It just goes on and on and on. You know what I mean? You know, I could play that one. That's a nasty one. But this will all go up on my torrent site, like I said, you know. But the videos are just, you know, it's there. The evidence is there. You've just got to open your eyes, wake up and stop staying shh and doing the Freemasons' job for them, you know. Here we go.
Okay, so to continue on, first of all, I need to correct my mistake about the name of this channel. Is Survivors Speak Out. It was a long time ago that I actually created the channel, and then I was having a lot of trouble at that time trying to upload to YouTube. So I just kind of had given up, and I switched over to doing live broadcasts on Periscope. And if anyone would like to see my Periscope broadcasts, on Periscope, my name is on there is @JusticeWarrior007. So if you'd like to do that, I've done several broadcasts on there. But I decided to go ahead and try back, you know, to get back to this Survivors Speak Out and actually really do some stuff here on this channel. because I know that I can reach, you know, perhaps another audience, a different sort of audience on YouTube. So, all right, to continue on.
Right, I'll just stop there, just while I remember, and I meant to say it earlier on, yeah. I'll just go per Seth, got my premium, oh, I can do it from here actually. I just want to tell you about this video I've got here, which is a must see, right? And again, it shows how Freemasons shush up their corruption, yeah. And it's in my Masonic Increasing Army videos. Give it a watch, because it starts off nice and, you know, like you know, all good and that, and then it shows you the corruption. And it's this one here, part 8, okay? And that obviously you want to see it start from number 1, right? And that goes through, you know, like the thingy, but it shows you the Cubs and the Scouts, okay? Like this. If I press play, I'll give it. Oh no, it's coming.
Yes, okay.
Right. See all the Cubs and the Scouts, and then what I show you, right, is all the Scoutmasters. See, all the Scoutmasters are Freemasons, right? Yeah. And you'll see, you know, I show plenty of, you know, like pictures and bits and pieces through it. You know, where the Freemasons like this. Do you know what I mean? They're standing with the children, but that ended up, you know, in all of them being abused. Do you know what I mean? But there was no mention in the papers or in the news, you know, like the vicars here, look, do you know what I mean? All like the Freemasons, you know what I mean? But nothing was mentioned about Freemasons, about all the abuse that went on. Do you know what I mean? Because they were you know, they were Scoutmasters and all that. But in the papers, nothing mentioned. No one mentions Freemasons. Do you know what I mean? Crazy stuff, do you know what I mean? But that's in Masonic Increasing Army part 8. That's a Masonic ritual there. That's a hazing ritual, that is. Again, I get into a bit of that, you know, like I said, it get a bit shocking, you know what I mean? You're like, what the hell's going on here, like, you know what I mean? But again, I try and stick with the facts, do you know what I mean? And that's what, you know, see, look, apologise to children who suffered sexual abuse during their time in the organisation. Yeah, that's Australia. Do you know what I mean? Because I do a worldwide one as well. Do you know what I mean? That's worldwide Scoutmasters, all Masonic. Do you know what I mean? But like I said, you'll have to watch that. But if you start watching my videos, I number them anyway, so follow them by numbers. Do you know what I mean? Masonic Increasing Army Part 1 would be your starting place, because that shows you where the, you know, how big and organised the Freemasons are within our society. Do you know what I mean? And how, you know, big that army is. But like I said, that's well worth a watch, because it does, like I said, it shows you the amount of abuse that can be done by a certain group of people or men in charge of, you know, like I said, scubs, all of that malarkey. So you look, summer settlements, sexual abuse victims. I've got all of that. That's all there. Do you know what I mean? And this is that's the common denominator. Look, Boy Scouts, at least 92,000 have filed sex abuse claims against. You know what I mean? But you'll never see, you go in any of it, there's not one mention of Freemasons. Do you know what I mean? No mention of Masonry, Freemasons, or any of that malarkey. You know what I mean? But you will see, like, I'll show you different pictures, and you know, so much, you know. What do you call it? I get with my bloody words, don't I? That's a like update ceremony. Look, what looked like the thingy. You know, these are Cub Scouts. Do you know what I mean? And you'll see they're all like the Scoutmasters. Yeah, you'll have to watch it. Do you know what I mean? I can't, like, off the top of my head, you know what I'm like with my bloody, you know. I'm just trying to find a picture with a. Oh mate, yeah, look, see badge, but I'm trying to get a Cub Scout with the, you know, the Scoutmasters with the thing. I think this one is it here. This is it. Give me 2 seconds and then we'll go back to the other video, and hopefully, see, look, so there's the Freemasons, look, with the Scoutmasters. You see they're in uniform, they're out of uniform. You know what I mean? They're more than likely police out of uniform or judges out of uniform, but they never wear their aprons out and open, do they? Do you see what I mean? But yeah, give it a watch. That's worth a watch. Here we go. Look, here's an old Scoutmaster there, look, and one there. All belong to the Masonic Lodge. Do you see what I mean? And this is the thing, but it was all covered up and no Freemasonry was ever mentioned in the paper. So give it a look. That is worth a look. Do you know what I mean? And obviously I keep showing, you know, don't forget we've got girl guides and all that as well, you know. So anyway, let's carry on with this lady here. Very good. Like I said, Anyway, bye-bye.
The ritual abuse that happened in Springfield, Missouri at the Masonic Temple, there were many other children that were being abused right along with me. The first thing...
Did you hear that?
The first
I'll just play that again.
You know,
Right
which
there,
I remember
at the
that
Masonic
were being
Temple.
abused right along with me. The first thing, the first time, you know, which I remembered in 2001, at, let's see, I would have been between 26, 27, around 27. It was that this woman named Pat, who was a Jehovah's Witness, took me into Springfield, said we were going to go to a theater, to a movie, and we got into this little theater and it was empty, and except for 2 men. And I was grabbed by them and injected with a drug that made me unconscious. When I came to, I was naked, bound, my hands bound behind my back, kneeling on a cold floor in a room, like a basement type room with no windows, and a very scary bas-relief design on one wall. It was like all like a black stone wall with this bas-relief designs, which were very scary. It was very scary images on it. And there were other children crying and sniffling around me. And I ended up getting marked out by my behavior, my reaction to what was happening. You know, the shock, there was nothing, you know, response at first, just, you know, this paralyzation that, of course, a small child would have in terror. And then I realized, you know, being an intelligent little girl who was already being abused, in a few ways at home, I sensed and knew that these people who were doing this wanted me to cry, wanted us to cry and to be afraid, to show fear. And there was a little boy, I will never forget this, who was right next to me, bound, naked on the floor, sniffling and trying, you know, kind of trying to control it, but unable to control it. And I spoke to him quietly and said, "Don't give them this. Don't cry. They want us to cry. They want us to be afraid. Don't show them you're afraid." Well, one of the adults heard me, and this marked me out as being strong. They saw me as a cream of the crop, I suppose, for programming, for more abuse, for, you know, in their crazy system, this Luciferian belief system they had, they felt like they were granting me a privilege, I think. I was told that I was so special and that I was so strong and that they wanted to make me what they called a black princess or a dark princess within the group, within the, you know, their crazy group that had this ritualistic stuff and, you know, abusing children in the ritual stuff that they did. So I was forced to do group sex. It was child porn going on with that, photographing of things that were done to me that I was forced to do. I remember someone filming, actually, with like a filming camera, you know, movie type camera. So there was child porn going on. I think that was probably how they were making money off of what they were doing. I've read about other groups that do the same kind of stuff too, other places, other people's stories that I've listened to and watched who've been through the same sort of thing. So There was the spiritual abuse angle where they were binding me to demons, you know, as well as some of the other children that they had marked out in that group of children that they were abusing. And I could feel the evil, you know. It's hard to describe what you feel when you're subjected to something like that. But it was like I could feel the demonic forces, the dark forces that they were calling down and binding to me, or binding me to. I actually remembered in 2001 was when all these memories of the ritual abuse, 2001 to 2002, these memories were coming up for me. And I remember them even, you know, the demonic names that they were using in these rituals to bind children to demons, or bind demons to children, vice versa, whatever. I remember them using the name Azazel in one session. I remember another time they referred to an entity called Samael. You know, so, and it was so horrible. It was like almost like a smell and a touch. It was almost tangible, really, the evil that was there in that room. So this was very terrorizing. All of the things that were done to me. They would physically punish us without leaving a mark. They had that down to an art form, how to physically hurt us to get us to do what they wanted, to train us. And they would say to me, we're not hurting you, as they were hurting me. We're not hurting you, we're helping you. We're making you strong. You'll be so strong, you know, and you will have a privileged place in the world. This is what I was told while I was being abused by these adults. So that's some of what happened. I am going to leave it there for a little while, but I will come back and do more and tell more of my story. Thank you, everyone, anyone who watches this video, and you know, I'll be back.
Yep, that's another one who's lying, I suppose, who's profane. Now this woman, again, you need to listen to these people. You know, they're not talking rubbish, and they're not saying it for nothing, are they? Do you know what I mean? I thought I just got an email there, maybe I didn't. What's that? Can we pretend to... That's nothing. Right, anyway, I'm going to play this lady here. Now this one's an hour long, so if you don't want to listen to it, I suggest you turn it off. But she's all over the Freemasons, all over it. You know what I mean? I think this is the last one anyway in the set. Let me just have a look. This is show 9, I believe. Yeah, it's the last one. So if you don't want to watch it, move straight along. But I'll leave it playing. Like I said, it's the last hour. And I will be uploading all these videos anyway, as I normally do, to my to Demonoid. Do you know what I mean? I've just been sent a video, or was given a video, which is brilliant. I'm not going to just go to it because you can see it yourselves. I just got sent this one. So in the search bar, and what it says here is, and I haven't seen this, Teresa, and I'm going to watch it. Teresa, I'll put it this way. Escape from, because I think that'd be a good brutal, and that should hopefully, whether that come up or not, let's have a look. or Brutus Tarot Cut, yeah, there it is. Yeah, I forgot about this one, but again I'll be uploading that. Again, she tells you about the Freemasons and who's what and who's who. Do you know what I mean?
Story is both shocking and compelling.
Oh.
Yet it's a story.
Yeah. So don't forget, Teresa. Just type that in. A 60 Minutes Australia. She tells you what they do as well. You know what I mean? But anyway, I'll run this one. Brilliant interview. she's over Freemasonry like a rash. Great stuff. And like I said, these people ain't lying, are they? Do you know what I mean? And where there's smoke, think about it.
This evening I've got Rachel from Australia, and I've just finished watching testimonies given by her and her brother on YouTube, and this story is absolutely horrific. Dad was a prolific serial killer, but much more. He worked for the intelligence agency as a wiretapper. He was linked to a cult, the Freemasons, paedophile rings, hundreds of kids going missing over the years, and Rachel being ignored, and the police, at the very least, being inept, but at the very most, possibly being involved in cover-ups. So Rachel, do you want to just tell us a little bit about you then, and we can get to how this story came about?
All right, so I grew up in Edwardstown in Adelaide of South Australia. I was born in 1973. I had 5 older siblings, 1 younger sibling that I didn't meet until 2012. My older siblings, of those, the eldest, Claire, deceased the day after she received a compensation payout, which is an unusual time for someone to supposedly take their life, but that's what the coroner has assumed. Yeah, and poor Claire, she was saying that someone was trying to kill her for a couple of months before she died, but the coroner won't look into it, so we've lost 1 sibling. My 2 older half-siblings, Ruth and Andrew, corroborate my allegations that our father, Alan Maxwell McIntyre, was a serial pedophile, and that they also were witness to dead bodies, murders and body disposals. So they are 18 and 19 years older than me, respectively, and so their witness experiences were in the 50s and 60s, whereas mine were in the 70s and 80s. They were also peddled off to our father's friends. My abuse included satanic ritual abuse as well, so there were those elements also. The reason I wanted to speak with you, Sean, was basically because my brother, as you would have seen in his testimony to the International Tribunal for Natural Justice, was used in child porn. I was as well, but with the particular children that Andrew was used with, they had English accents, and Andrew and I are quite sure that some of these children were the UK stolen generation. Now, there were, by different reports, 130 to 150,000 children sent to Australia for labour camps and to be abused by church clergy and used in child pornography, obviously. And the reason why I wanted to reach out to you and your audience was so that we can put some pressure on from your way to the South Australian government to force them to investigate, because they will not do anything. And myself and my 2 elder siblings have been pressuring for the last 14 years. There are 2 properties that my father owned, one in Edwardstown and one in Stansbury on the York Peninsula. Neither of those have been investigated, and it's, you know, I saw children buried at Macklin Street property. Ruth and Andrew, my older siblings who corroborate me, they saw the Beaumont children. Ruth saw the Beaumont children. There are 3 children who went missing from North Beach in 1966. It's a very big case. Ruth saw them deceased in the bed of a car. Our father corroborated their allegation in 2015 to an investigative journalist called Brian Whitley. And he said that, yeah, a guy called Anthony Munro brought the children to our property in the bed of a car.
Before we get to that, could you give us the background of your father? And I'd just like to say also, it's the same here. We've got a record number of women in prison for not paying their BBC TV licences, which cost the taxpayers £50,000 a year to house that person. And the police, the government, are saying they don't have the money to investigate political paedophiles. It's completely upside down. But yeah, your story is so horrendous. But for people to understand it better, could you describe your father, his background, and what it was like growing up with him when you first became aware of what was going on?
Okay, so my father was born in 1929. We come from a long line of Freemasons. His grandfather, my great-grandfather, Joseph Wright, was the head of the Freemasons. I'm still unsure whether or not it was the Australian or South Australian or even just the Edwardstown chapter, but he was the head of something rather large in the Freemasons. My father grew up with a large number of siblings. Apparently there was quite a bit of abuse in his childhood. There's certainly been talk that he abused one of his siblings. He worked for Telecom, which is the telecommunications department in Australia. It's now called Telstra. He was a wiretapper. He used to brag about being an ASIO. Well, basically he said he was a spy to me when I was a child. But he's since written letters to Major Crime Detective in particular, where he says he was an ASIO operative and whistleblower to the federal police. So basically, he had access through the exchanges, the telecom exchanges. He had access to everybody's phone calls. He worked as he had so many different jobs. He worked as a grave digger for many years. He worked at Telecom. He had access to a large number of people, most of them normal, ordinary people, but a lot of them very high-ranking people, including politicians, police. Was abused by a police officer friend of his, which was a chief inspector of police during the time he was abusing me, and doctors in particular. And the doctors were allowed to experiment on us children. So my father would just quite happily hand us over for those experiments. So my first memory of being experimented on was when I was still in nappies. I was probably about 2. I wrote to the Mulligan Inquiry about that abuse. I remember my father's little surgical tool, fold-up sort of wrap he had, and he would roll them out. And I even drew the surgical tools that he would use. He wanted to be a surgeon, so his doctor friends would teach him surgical techniques, and he used them on his victims. He was also a Luciferian, a Rosicrucian, and a Freemason. So all of those 3 things combined, and he was also a member of the Golden Dawn. So for him, Aleister Crowley was God. And so one of the tenets of Aleister Crowley was to do what thou wilt. If it feels good, do it. Just go for it. And that was basically what his cult did. Now that cult has been dubbed the Family by local media here. The Family is well known, well covered by media, but usually only in a fear-mongering sense, to put fear into the population. They've never been properly investigated. There was an inquiry here, the Mulligan Inquiry, which ran from 2007 onward, and it investigated the missing children. 600 missing children were identified in the Mulligan Inquiry. 106 of those went missing from the Glandore Boys' Home, just 2 streets from where I grew up in Edwardstown. We also know that there were 4,000 UK children sent here and only 2,000 are left. So my brother, as you would have seen in his testimonies, the ITNJ, had a period between 1960 and 1965, this is my brother Andrew, where he had to incinerate packages that were wrapped in butcher's paper. And between 1960 and 1965, he estimates at least 1, possibly 2 of these loads of packages would have to be incinerated in our backyard incinerator every week for those 5 years. So we estimate around about 300 of these cadavers. So basically, the cat got into the incinerator at one point. It was Andrew's job to burn them. The cat got into the incinerator and opened up one of the packages, or several of the packages, and Andrew recognised that, like human bones, he's a hunter back then and still is now, so he got the packages out and assembled what appeared to him to be a human skeleton, obviously not an animal. And the way that the bones had been cut was like the way a butcher would cut things, and obviously they're all wrapped in butcher's paper. Now, this all correlates with stories my father told me, that there was a particular butcher close by to our home that he said sold human meat. There was also a bakery involved with that butcher very close by, and he used to make jokes when we went past. He was in that mood. He had several altars, so he was a very strange man. He would make these sort of nursery rhymes, like sing-song statements like, I've ground their bones to make my bread, insinuating that the bones of the children were ground up for the bread from the bakery, or that they put little boys and girls in the pies and pasties from that bakery. He also showed me that there was a particular emblem on the butcher called a Kincaid, that is still used as the logo now on that particular butcher. And the Kincaid was a message to other cannibals that they could get their particular meat from that butcher. So, I mean, this is well outside the realms of most people's normal existence and normal childhood. It's just what we grew up with.
And in these cases, often they prey on the most vulnerable children in society, children in foster homes. Where was he accessing the children from?
So it was a combination of children from the cult. So according to the cult's tenet, each cult member would give up their eldest child or their firstborn to the cult. So that could mean a range of different things. It could mean sacrifice as baby or older. It could mean you were mentored into a particular area. So I was mentored, I was supposed to be a psychologist. I was basically mentored into a Bachelor of Science degree, which I had no science subjects in year 12, no chance of getting into a Bachelor of Science degree, but because of who you knew, I was put into a science degree. And I've got my year 12 certificate on my Facebook site. I've got my transcript from my first year at Bachelor of Science to show the disparity. It's not possible for me to have got in, but I got in because of him. And he was providing human cadavers and human body parts to both the Flinders and Adelaide medical centres, the two main medical centres in Adelaide. And so he had friends there. Oh, train of thought, we're going with that one.
It's okay. So some people who are watching this right now are thinking, wow, this is so out of anything that I could possibly imagine. What proof does she have? Now, you have an injury. I remember one of the testimonies I listened to, there's an injury that you sustained as a kid that was verified that had to, could you describe that?
So part of the cult's tenet again was this belief that if you sever the vasovagal nerve, which is located within the rectum, that you can open the child up to psychic ability. And this is a Freemason belief as well. So that seems to be particular. He used a cult knife, so it's like a bowline knife. It's a curved blade knife to do this ritual abuse. Now, I've had so many people come forward to me in Adelaide who've had the same abuse as children. It seems to be Adelaide specific, but it is a Freemason belief that if you do this to a child before they turn the age of 3, you open them up psychically. I do have a medical report from a professor of proctology proving that did occur to me. I have other medical reports as well which indicate that I was being experimented on by certain local doctors who had access to Kuru cadavers or Kuru infected cadavers from Papua New Guinea. So that has all been collated and is currently part of a victim of crime application with the Crown Solicitor's Office. The amount of evidence that I've amassed is quite considerable, and that includes psychiatric assessments which show that I'm not schizophrenic or delusional or anything along those lines. Quite sane, despite what I've been through. I do suffer from PTSD, but I'm still a functioning person, and so is my older brother and sister. They still function reasonably normally. I know that they're very stressed out at times, especially when you can't get these things investigated, but we're all fully functional human beings. We're still, coping and getting along. It's just, you sort of have to. It's no point sort of feeling sorry for yourself. You've got to keep moving, keep acting.
So your dad managed to get away with this. He died, but there were numerous co-conspirators. What was the status of police involvement over the years? Was anybody ever arrested, questioned, prosecuted, co-conspirators, parts of the paedophile network?
Yeah, okay. So my brother, Andrew, managed to get one of his main abusers, Anthony Munro, convicted. So Anthony Munro is still in jail. He's actually on his 3rd conviction for child sex abuse now. So Andrew has great credibility because he managed to get that done. That, mind you, that took the 3 of us campaigning for that. I started writing about Anthony Munro to the police in 2006. I wrote to Denzel Clark of a particular pedophile task force, Argus, in Queensland in 2006 regarding this. Now, interestingly, I was told that they don't interfere with South Australian cases, but they've collaborated with another South Australian case since then, so I don't know what the deal is there. it just seems every time we get anywhere. So basically, Munro is in jail. There's a vast network of these pedophiles. Some are still operating. I know.
In relation to your dad, what was their relationship with his relationship with Munro?
Very close. So, but I didn't have much to do with Munro, but according to Ruth and Andrew, Munro was only young when he met my father. So he's 20 odd years younger than my father, or if not more. They both, Ruth and Andrew both believed that Munro was sort of made a psychopath by our father. But I think my father probably just recognised certain traits in Munro and then took him under his wing, so to speak. Munro also, I don't believe he had a father figure around him. So what you were saying before about vulnerable children, absolutely 100%. And my father used to foster relationships with the local kids in the area that didn't have a strong fatherly presence.
Is Munro the one that your dad found your brother naked in bed with?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But he didn't make a scene. What father does that? That's just amazing. No, he didn't make a scene. So.
How old was your brother at that point?
I believe. See, this is the weird part. My brother said that didn't happen. It didn't actually happen. This is just what my father said. So my father put himself in a very stupid position by admitting to that when it didn't happen, and he did a lot of very strange things like that. Very, very weird. I think that the altar factor, I really do believe my father was an MK Ultra victim himself, simply because he had these altar parts. 1 minute he'd be fine. The next minute something would snap and he would be grinning at you with this demonic expression and you knew you were in for it. So, you know, he could be quite normal at times. And I think that was the way that he managed to convince people that he was okay and he was just a family man, but it's not.
A bit like Ted Bundy. Okay, so Munro, the police convicted Munro. Who else was questioned or investigated?
Okay, so 2 of my abusers were investigated, but because I didn't get an admission from them, nothing happened, but at least they were questions. So, you know, I've got a great deal of respect for the brevet sergeant who came out to my house to take those allegations. I really appreciated that. My father was being investigated in 2016, and the only reason I got that finally happening after 10 years of making allegations and complaining constantly to various authorities that had authority over police, after 10 years I got to the right Member of Parliament who helped me, and she managed to get an investigation to take place. Now, very conveniently, during that investigation, my father died. So, case closed, no more investigation, all over and done with.
What was the cause of death?
I honestly don't know because we weren't allowed to find out. That was given to my other 2 siblings who own the Stansbury property and are in direct opposition to myself and my 2 older half siblings. So we weren't allowed to know.
So your father was involved in dissecting people, kids, and also child porn and cannibalism. Could you expand on that?
Okay, so look, my father was a very strange man. So he believed, as a Satanist, Luciferian, he believed that he and his doctor friends were going to bring in the zombie apocalypse. Now, it sounds completely and utterly mental. But he explained to me after he murdered a child in front of me when I was 10, and he tried to make me complicit in that murder by placing the knife in my left hand. I'm right-handed, put it in my left hand, put both his hands around my hand and forced the knife into this poor child. After he'd done that, and then dissected her in front of me, and I gave all of these allegations to the Major Crime Department in 2012, but then they went after a patsy instead because they preferred to take down a patsy. He then sat me down afterwards and told me that they were trying to bring in the zombie apocalypse as prophesied in the Bible. And of course, everything that my father told me I had to take with a grain of salt. Then he proceeded to explain to me that I had been infected with these kuru prions from these cadavers that were brought over to Adelaide from Papua New Guinea in the 1970s. And there are particular ways that you would infect a person. I've since discovered through research, because I was horrified at the time. I thought, oh my God, because it's the time of AIDS, and he explained that it was a condition that was like AIDS, it would kill me. And I later discovered that the only way to infect a person is either by tissue to brain contact tissue to, infected tissue to brain contact, or infected tissue to tonsils, or through a lumbar punch. Well, I was given a lumbar punch at 18 months, and he explained this to me, that this was when the second time I'd been infected. I'd had a long bout of tonsillitis, 6-month bout of tonsillitis from the age of 6 months onwards. So I believe that was probably the first attempt. And I believe that because later, when I was 14, during a forced abortion, where I was given a paralytic drug and was fully conscious but unable to move, this doctor then proceeded to sliced open my tonsils and put tissue inside my tonsils, and he actually showed me the tissue as he went in. So that was the way that they tried to infect me. So at age 10, my father explained these things to me. I didn't know he was going to do it again when I was 14. Thankfully, and the reason our family was chosen for this is because some of us carry the cystic fibrosis gene, which is a faulty PRNP gene. Now, people with this faulty PRNP gene are susceptible to prion disorders like Lewy body dementia, Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. These are all prion disorders, Kuru. So my father forced me to have a genetic test in 2003 because my two closest siblings, two full siblings, are both carriers for cystic fibrosis, and he wanted to see if I was a carrier. I hadn't had children yet, so I didn't get to find out because they test them. He tested children when they first are born, and my brother and sister had both had their children tested and were carriers. He wanted to know if I was. So in 2003, he paid for a test. Which is very unusual for him. It was expensive, and he hadn't given me any money since I left home, apart from $300 to buy a car at one point. So I remember thinking that was really odd that he would really want me to do this test. I had no intention of having children at that point. I was still quite young. So I had the test. He also insisted that I send the test results straight to him, which the doctors would do because I was an adult. They wouldn't allow that, so the test results came to me. And I am not a carrier for the cystic fibrosis gene, so I don't have that faulty gene. Thank God. Otherwise, I may well be dead by now or suffering these dreadful symptoms. So I think I've somehow, managed to escape that fate.
So you said you were forced to have an abortion at age 14. Did that come about from one of your abusers?
Yeah. So, I always thought it was my father's child because he was abusing me the most frequently. And I'd been given drugs, which this purple liquid, which is very bitter, which a friend has later told me may have been penny water. Apparently that's a common thing that people were given, but I was given that at age 13. And that I had a dreadful reaction to that. So, I lost the baby and I was dreadfully ill. So he'd already done that to me. Obviously, I don't remember him giving me drugs like that again this time. This time it was a first abortion.
While all this was going on, where was your mother?
So it's very hard for me to work out whether or not my mother was complicit in these things or not. So a lot of the time I think she was completely oblivious. I would tell her what he was doing to me. She would be incensed until he got home, and then he would do something. So he was quite capable at hypnosis and click his fingers and she'd forget. So there were other times with other people in the cult that would have an effect over my mother, so that she would be put into some sort of trance. I would be abused in front of her, and she would not notice, and then be absolutely surprised and horrified when she'd come out of the trance, and I'd be absolutely despondent. She wouldn't understand why. So there is a combination of her not really being with it. She was drugged quite frequently. There was another time after that child was murdered in front of me when I was 10, I did tell my mother again. She sat me down after a gynecological examination where the doctor didn't even insert anything to find out whether or not I was fully intact, but told me I was fully intact, which I was very angry about afterwards, as you can imagine. She told me afterwards that I had to keep quiet because if I didn't, we would both end up dead, or she would end up in jail. So I think she organised that just so that I would, I don't know, believe her over all my personal experiences. I don't know, but that's lots of things happen like that where she would just vacillate between being very protective. She was a very loving mother. She didn't abuse me, but she would allow me to be abused, I think, out of fear of going to jail. She's very proud. So she did actually sign, and I really do appreciate that she did this. she signed a statutory declaration where she basically sets out that, you know, I was examined at age 4 and the doctor did ask both my parents who were present, could I have been sexually abused because I had these dreadful calcified stools stuck up inside my body that couldn't come out. And that was because of my father was abusing me at that point as well. And I remember being terrified that my father was sitting next to me. I just burst into tears. I thought, oh God, Dr. Nazon, I'm going to end up dead, because my father always told me, you tell anybody, I'll kill you or I'll kill your mother. My mother also said in that statutory declaration that she was present when I was run over by my father, who tried to kill me with his car, unsuccessfully, thank God. And afterwards, this is the weird thing about my mother, after she arrived home to find my father pulling me out from underneath his car, she went off to dip the dishes casually while I had to sit on his lap, while he whispered to me about how he wanted to kill me but he couldn't because he loved me too much. I was 5, nearly 6 at that point. So it's just the most bizarre childhood you could possibly imagine. But that's, you know, thankfully, well, not thankfully, but my brother and sister, Ruth and Andrew, both had very similar experiences. And I think if I'd done this, if I had this happen to me on my own, I didn't have them to reflect on, I don't know where I would be right now.
Why did it reach the point where he tried to run you over?
He'd been trying to kill me quite a few times. So there's at least 6 times that I remember in my childhood where he tried to kill me. Now apparently he had just had a big fight with my mother. They'd been at a party together and had this big fight. So, and they were in separate cars. Perhaps it was to freak my mother out, I don't know. I don't remember doing anything in particular or saying anything to anybody in particular at that point to do that.
You've mentioned several times about the cult, the abuse occurred in the framework of the cult. And I recently interviewed Wilfred Wong, and he said there sometimes was a ritualistic order of things that were done, and then this person was abused. Was there a ritual surrounding your abuse on those occasions within the cult?
Yeah, absolutely. So one particular abuse happened when I was 14, and I believe it was an initiation of sorts. So I was married off to another cult member, taken to this bizarre resort, Tudor-style resort, Tudor-style houses or buildings, and very, very long table, cult members at one end, and myself and my father and another family member at the other end, and this man acted as our waiter. It was all over me like a rash. I was terribly uncomfortable about it. I was made to wear a special dress that my family member took me out to buy, black and white dress, which was very specific to the Freemasonry light and dark aspects. This guy was all over me like a rash. I was given something in my drink. Next thing I know, we're in one of the outer back buildings, and this bizarre ritual occurred where they all digitally or either digitally raped me, or the men placed their penises inside me, and I was stuck in stirrups. And then afterwards, I was married to this waiter. He'd been all over me like a rash. It was just bizarre. And there was a pentagram on the ground. I mean, yeah, this was not unusual. I'd had these experiences before, but that one in particular really astounded me because it took so long. It was such a long evening. And yeah, just so many different facets and aspects to it. Even to the point where there's a sexton and other masonry symbols on the ground as well. So,
being married to the waiter, was that just in name only at these cult occasions, or did you have to move and live with that guy?
No, thankfully I didn't have to move and live with him. Strangely, I was taken to his home in Victoria when I was about 25. So that was about 11 years later. He certainly wasn't happy to have me there. Didn't want me there. He had a wife at that point, 2 children. I very disturbingly can't remember the end of that evening, so I don't know what happened there, but it was really strange. And again, that was by my father. My father took me to this man's house. It was 11 years later. And that guy was a writer for a greenie magazine, Yeah, I still remember his name. Hopefully there'll be something happening with that at some point. But yeah, there's a vast number of these abusers that, you know, I can identify. I know their names. Quite a few of them turned up to my father's funeral. I had the forethought to go and film it so that I could then identify the members afterwards. And I've still got that film. I haven't released it, but I will if anything happens to me. So that's been the only real thing I've got to hold on to, that's been shared with certain people and will be released if anything does happen to me. If I'm suicidal, and I have to say I am not suicidal.
So you said this cult was called the Family. Did this cult have people from very powerful positions in society, judges, politicians?
So like I said before, there was one Chief Inspector of Police. The only reason I knew he was a Chief Inspector of Police is because my father told me all about who he was and how important he was. Because according to my father, and I don't know if this is true or not, I've not been able to get any information from South Australian Police about that. But my father told me that this particular Chief Inspector of Police was in the same department responsible for looking for the missing child, that this Chief Inspector of Police was filmed abusing with me. And look, the child pornography that my father was producing was involved members of Channel 9, one of the stations here. And some of those Channel 9 members have already been, not the ones that abused me, but others have been prosecuted in front of Channel. So it's quite a large ring, the Channel 9 ring.
Are there any names you can mention of people who were prosecuted and have gone to jail?
I believe it was Rick Marshall who worked at Channel 9. I might have the name wrong though. There was a woman called Janet Priest who made allegations about her father. His son worked at Channel 9. I'm not saying that he was a pedophile. I'm just saying that there were connections there. I know that there were quite a few allegations about other Channel 9 employees, but I'm reluctant to name them at this point. I can also say that there was an ex-Attorney General of South Australia who was part of the cult, and I saw this ex-Attorney General commit an atrocity against a baby in the 80s. So very powerful people, very well covered up.
So you said your father was a member of the Family and a member of the Masons. What was the relationship between the cult and the Masons?
From what I could tell, they were one and the same. I certainly didn't see any delineation. I believe they were all part of the same group. In South Australia, the police, their insignia is a checkerboard, so black and white squares, which is the Freemason law, and it's a very powerful Freemason symbol. So the police here aren't even trying to hide it. That is their insignia. So I believe that was mostly the lower classes were part of the Freemasons and part of the police of the brigade, whereas the family itself were more the judges. And I know of several judges that were involved, but again, I can't name them for fear of, libel. Once they die off, obviously, we're going to name them all. There were 922 perpetrators of child sex abuse named in the Mulligan inquiry. Of those, 13 were investigated and 2 were charged.
Could you just, for people in England and America who are not familiar with the Mulligan inquiry, could you just explain what that is?
Sure. Okay. So after decades of people calling out for some sort of investigation into the abuse of state boards in South Australia, and we're talking from the 50s, 60s, we're talking 40, 50 years of allegations made. Finally, in 2007, a Royal Commission Mulligan inquiry was put into place. Unfortunately, and the terms of reference were very, very small. So it was only people who'd been abused in institutions could be investigated. The terms were, it was not just sexual abuse, so not just abuse of children in those institutions, including the church and various other church or religious institutions. as well as St Vinny's, you know, all the charitable organisations as well. But it was also an investigation into, an inquiry into the large numbers of deaths of children during that period between the 50s and when the inquiry took place, whose death certificates were shown, even though they were children, the death certificates' reasons for death were natural causes. I mean, that's, you can't have that with children. There were approximately 100 children's death certificates that had to be investigated. There were at least 8 deaths that were definitely not natural causes and needed to be investigated further. You cannot find any information about it though. Although the Mulligan inquiry findings were released, there's an 80-year suppression order on much of the information in there, so you can only get little snippets. And Michael Atkinson, our ex-Attorney General, was the person who signed off to institute that 80-year suppression order. And you've got to wonder, an 80-year suppression order can only service the abusers. It doesn't help anybody else. There was a Senator Heffernan who spoke about this in Parliament, not necessarily the Mulligan inquiry, but about all of the abuses that happened to children and how the suppression orders were there purely to protect pedophiles. And still nothing was done. He put his life on the line for no reason, really. I believe that the Mulligan inquiry is purely an investigation of all the people who dared to make allegations. And I would really like to see the statistics on how many of those people who came forward to the Mulligan inquiry and professed suicidal thoughts, how many of those then had assisted suicides, because I believe that was the whole point of it, to gather as much information as possible, to get those that were most vulnerable to be shut up.
Did your mother stay with your father until he died? Did your father have other female partners? And if so, did they participate in the abuse as well?
Well, very good question. So my mother left my father when I was 13, left me with him. My sister, closest in age, stayed for about a month and then she left as well, so I was left alone with him. My nieces and my other sister came to live with us for a short period, but it was only a short period. Then he introduced me to his, what would later be his third wife. I have to be very careful what I say here because was a very powerful woman. She worked at Deakin University. She was head of psychology there. Like I said, I was being mentored into a psychology position. Let's just say I don't like her at all. Very dreadful memories of that woman. I'll put it that way. I also have a number of her cards and letters which really put her in a very bad light. So if I could get some investigation happening, I'm sure that there would be a great deal of interest in those letters because they're replete with MK Ultra trigger words and statements. Do what you like, do what feels good, those sorts of statements from your wicked stepmother, lots of things like that. So yeah, she clearly didn't see me as a stepdaughter. She saw me as something different.
With the child porn, in one of your testimonies you described quite a sophisticated operation with the studio, with the professional umbrella style lights and things like that. Could you expand on that?
Yeah, well, my father had state-of-the-art equipment. So in the 70s, the filming equipment that he had, I don't think anybody else, certainly none of my friends, their parents didn't have that sort of filming equipment. I know he had the older stuff in the 50s and 60s when he was filming my brother and sister, but in the 70s and 80s he had video equipment before the video equipment was available, mainstream. I was filmed with 2 high-profile missing children in the 80s. I believe my father was involved with snuff films as well. Apparently a whole cache of these snuff films were left in a box at Channel 9 Studios' door. I don't know whatever happened to them, but there's a long-standing rumour that occurred. The equipment that he had was very impressive. I think that may be part of the reason why none of this has been investigated. I think it's partly because police are being told from higher up that they're not allowed to investigate. Quite often the response I'll get from members of parliament or victim of crime commissioner or various SAPOL authorities is that it's an operational matter, which is really interesting, that term. So I've been told by some people an operational matter refers to someone or a case where someone's made complaints about police. So it's deemed an operational matter for that reason. In other words, if you make a complaint, it won't be investigated. Other people have told me that it could have to do with Operation Deny, which was an operation that was enforced in the 80s. At the same time that over in the UK you had Operation False Flag. And I believe that the whole system in the police at that time was just to completely and utterly deny and shut down anybody who made allegations of this nature.
You see in a lot of these cases that people who work for intelligence, there's like a world where intelligence community and criminals coexist, and because of the work they're doing for intelligence, the criminals are allowed to do the most abhorrent crimes. When some other kind of agency steps in, the intelligence agency, they have the most power in the land, so they say, look, back off from this guy, he's an intelligence asset, you know, national security here, you guys just leave this guy alone, he's ours. Do you think because of your dad's work as a wiretapper, intelligence, military, that could have been the case as to why he was able to get away with things until, you know, he died without serving any prison time?
Yeah, I do believe that, Sean. I do. He often told me that he had immunity from police, immunity from prosecution because of all who he knew, and certainly the police couldn't touch him. So he would sometimes say it was because he knew people in high places. Sometimes it was because he thought he was very special. A special friend of police was another term that he used. I mean, it's obvious that he was quite correct. And like I said, he died in a nursing home. Supposedly, I think that we were told it was from dementia that took him, but he was very cognitive 2 years earlier. So it must have been quite rapid onset. Who knows, maybe the Kuru prions finally got him, I'm not sure. He was 88, nearly 89 when he passed. And interestingly, the night that my father passed away, which just coincidentally happened to be my dead sister Claire's birth date, anniversary of her birth, 13th of June, that night, one of my brothers, not Andrew, the other one, decided that he was going to light all these bonfires at the property of Stansbury. And people who were witness to the bonfires said it smelled like burning flesh and hair. So I think, I don't know what was going through his mind. He was interviewed the next day very briefly and he said it was just timber. Didn't smell like timber, according to the journalists who were around the property at that time. And apparently, according to the nursing home nurse who was looking after my father at that time, my father passed. Just before my father passed, he asked that this brother go and see him. The brother went and saw him. My father passed away, and my brother went straight back to the property and lit these fires.
So, hundreds of kids going missing. I'm not familiar with Australian TV. Has there been any programs or coverage of this over the years?
Very little, very little. So you get, with the Beaumont case, there would be coverage every year on the Australia Day, because that's when they went missing. It was a very big high-profile case because there were 3 children missing from the one family, really tragic. It seems to me that became like this money-making exercise for the media and for various writers who've written about the case over and over and over again and made probably quite a substantial profit from it. Anybody who speaks up about the Beaumont children gets absolutely destroyed because apparently we're doing it for money. I've never been paid for any of my interviews and I never will be, and neither have my siblings. But all these writers and the media that make money from it, that's fine. That's fine according to the status quo. Children, there's between 20 and 25,000 children go missing in Australia each year, which is a very high number given we've only got a 27 million population. only a very small number are ever actually reported out. So you've got your few high-profile cases that will get out in the media, like the Beaumont case, like Richard Kelvin, but the others are just kept quiet. And those poor families, I can't imagine how hard that must be for them, because they don't even get any coverage. It's like their child just needs nothing. For a long time, it was the state boards that were being abused, and cult members' children that they would give up for abuse, and the odd abducted child. Nowadays, it's the Department of Child Protection that takes the children away. So we have a child protection minister in South Australia who has no rights and no power over children. She's an elected official that has absolutely no power, but she's the child protection minister. All her powers were taken away in October of 2018 and given to the chief executive of the Department of Child Protection, Kathy Taylor. During 2019, I wrote a multitude of letters regarding a child that's been abused by at least one of my abusers in the same area where I grew up. So the ring is still operating, despite everything that I've done to try and expose them, they still operate. And during that time, all of the ministers and all of the people in authority that I wrote to in 2019 did not know or did not inform me that the child protection minister that they were channeling me off to with my allegations and my information no longer had any power. So you know, how can you protect anybody in a state where you don't even have an elected official to look after the children? It's this Department of Child Protection chief executive, and I've written to her on many occasions and never get a response. So it's a horrific situation.
You raised an interesting thing though. You said that you don't get paid for interviews, and perhaps critics would say there is something motivating you to say these things, like you want to sell a book or you want the attention. But actually, by making these allegations, it's caused a lot of havoc and it's been detrimental to your life. Is that the case?
Oh yeah, 100%, Sean, 100%. So I mean, I've been trolled, I've been threatened, I've had a police ombudsman advocate tell me I've been dealt with on 3 times in one conversation in a very menacing way. I've had some pretty terrifying stuff. I guess it's certainly not to make any money. I'm not making any money out of this, and I wouldn't anyway, because as far as I'm concerned, integrity is about still speaking up regardless of the dangers. I probably will write a book at some point, but I'll probably do what Fiona Barnett did and just give it out freely, because what she did was amazing, and she informed and helped an enormous number of people, and that's where I would like to go with it. I'm certainly being asked on a regular basis to do so, but there won't be any money, absolutely not. The trolling has been extreme. So Fiona Barnett has a whole series of trolls that have been harassing her for years. She's gone quiet recently, and now they've all transferred their attention to myself and my 2 siblings. So it's proof to me, because Fiona was in New South Wales, her abuse was predominantly there, but the same trolls are attacking myself and siblings who are from South Australia. Now, it's proof to me that the rings were interlocuted, that they're connected very much so. And I know that some of the child pornography that my father was producing and some of the victims were being trafficked over to Victoria. So this is a very convoluted network of pedophiles that have been doing this stuff for decades. I've tried very hard to get the Australian Federal Police involved. They won't get involved unless it's an interstate ring. Given them the proof that it's an interstate ring, they will not become involved at all. They won't help. So when you've gone to, must be at least 90 individuals now of over 20 different authority departments over SafeHold, including the SafeHold departments that I've gone through. When you've gone through everyone you can possibly go through, the only thing that is left is to go through people like yourself to get the message out there. So that's what I've done.
From the Epstein case, we've seen that the brave women who came forward were given the runaround by the police. They let Epstein have the sweetheart deal, and they've really had to fight and struggle over the years to be heard. Now, the victims in the rings you're describing would be adults now. Have any of those adults come forward or contacted you or the police?
Quite a few have contacted me. They are terrified. So there is apart from the fact that my father corroborated my brother and sister in his statement to Brian Whitley in 2015, saying that Anthony Munro brought the dead Beaumont children to our Edwardstown property when they went missing. There's another witness that's come forward and said that he actually saw one of the children being murdered and that Anthony Munro was involved with that as well. Now, he went to police 2 years ago. They won't do anything about it. So, you know, it doesn't matter how many witnesses come forward, they still won't investigate. One thing that really needs to be said is that my father's former property at Stansbury on the York Peninsula had a sinkhole. Now, shortly after the children went missing and were seen dead in the boot of the car by my sister, there was some sort of kerfuffle about sheep falling in the sinkhole. Now, supposedly, one of the sheep had fallen in the sinkhole. Mind you, these sheep had lived on the property for years, and all the other sheep had followed them in there. Now, number one, none of the sheep were missing. And so apparently because the sheep had fallen in the sinkhole and there was this dreadful smell, it had to be closed in. Now, Ruth and Andrew, my older siblings, are convinced that the remains of the children are in that sinkhole. And we have been trying so hard for the last several years to have that sinkhole exhumed. Now, our other two siblings who oppose us own that property and will not allow it to be excavated. There are now 13,000 signatures of very angry and very frustrated people on a change petition to have that sinkhole exhumed. And it just doesn't matter how many people come forward and try and force Safewell to do this. They will not look in there. Now, it's very likely, the cult was very strange. So the three Beaumont children were murdered, and then 3 children were taken, staples were taken from a group, I believe, Woodwood Orphanage. This is not my time frame, so I hope I'm saying that correctly for my brother and sister. And they were paraded around Adelaide because they looked like the children. They were picked specifically for that reason. They looked like the Beaumont children, to make it look like the children had survived. Now, they were also murdered, and it's very likely that they are also in the sinkhole. So my father kept treasures. So it would have been his decision to keep them all close, keep them all nearby, so that he could lord it over them and use that as leverage and protection throughout his life. And he kept a lot of treasures. So, you know, that's just one section. There are other treasures at the Macklin Street house that also need to be exhumed. You know, it doesn't seem to matter how much evidence comes forward. The Castelloy factory in North Clinton was dug in 2018, I believe it was. On the allegations of just one person. So you've got one person making vague allegations about a man they dubbed the Zazon man, and an enormous dig took place, and there was a lot of media attention, and you know, it was huge. It cost 250 grand for that dig. Now, they didn't even wear forensic suits when they did the dig because they knew there was nothing there. They found animal bones, but the fast was to keep everybody quiet. And now, because they spent all that money on that dig, they won't dig the Stansbury property. And we're quite happy to crowdfund to get the money for the dig. But my 2 opposing siblings will not allow it to happen. And I think the reason for that is they know that my father was involved in these dreadful crimes, and their pride or the fact that they allowed him access to their children, even after we made allegations about him, they allowed him access to their children. They will not allow this to occur because they won't be able to save face. So in the meantime, we just keep getting vilified by those family members.
You said your father had an incinerator. Do you think the majority of the corpses ended up in there?
Yes, I do. But what didn't burn was then dug out from the base of the incinerator and then buried in the backyard, and trees were placed on top. Now, I've had discussions with the new owners at the Macklin Street property where these remains were buried, and they said, oh, there weren't any bones, but they wouldn't be looking for, you know, that they wouldn't realise that they were human because they were butchered. They were sliced up, you know, like a butcher would do with a bandsaw. So they wouldn't necessarily recognise that they weren't animal bones. We need someone who's a forensic pathologist to go in there and investigate. We need a proper team. One of the children that I saw buried there in 1983, her burial place was dug up in November last year. So all that evidence is gone. I don't know if they found her bones or didn't find her bones. Even if my father moved her remains, and he may have done that by hooking out her bones from under the corner of the slab of concrete that he put there, there would still be some remains there. But all that evidence is lost now. So that poor child, it doesn't matter how much I speak up for her, I can never prove now. Apart from if we can find the footage of myself and her and this Chief Inspector of Police, that would still hopefully be floating around somewhere. But that's the only evidence I'll ever be able to get.
So for the people watching this, Rachel, is there any way they can help you, or is there anything you would like to say to them in conclusion?
Sure. Look, if you do have any information or you want to know about the stolen children, please contact me, Rachel Vaughan, Beaumont Bombshell, on Facebook, or rachel.vaughan73@gmail.com. I welcome anybody to contact me, even if you're just an SRA victim and you want some sort of help there. I might be able to help in that way. And sign the petition if you're in Australia. You can sign the petition, that would help a lot. That's just Google Stansbury petition.
Really appreciate you sharing this information. Rachel, you're a very strong woman, so thank you for spending the time.
Thank you so much, Sean, I really appreciate it.
Cheers.
Yeah, and you can watch a lot more on Sean's channel, and obviously looking her up myself. Don't forget Teresa here. Yeah, just do that searching YouTube and she'll tell you the score on it as well. But the thing is, if you notice that police investigations are shushed up, just like with Jimmy Savile, that's why he got away with it for 50 years, do you know what I mean? But anyone, if you ain't sure what's going on, go to my site and then go into gang stalking, vomit and TIs, victims of Masonic ill treatment, and then you've got victims of Masonic ill treatment, yeah, stories, do you know what I mean? And this is what you need to do, is to read, and it'll give you an idea what Freemasons can do to your life if you go up against them. You've got Joe Sterling and his wife. I've gone off with this. You had James Todd, he goes back to the 80s, I think, when I was talking to him. Second family is Joe Sterling. I mean, just Kathleen and Derek Ryder's story alone, just shows you how Freemasonry can get into your life. Do you know what I mean? And when they go on about the doctors, like I said, the grapevines with medical staff and what they can do when Freemasons are doctors, they can sign you off as crazy or whatever. Do you know what I mean? BBC buggering boys at the BBC club. You know what I mean? But it's all here. Just go, in my vomit section. You know what I mean? Go in, read Derek and Kathleen Ryder's story. There's plenty more stories there. Everything in my forum relates to Freemasonry and what they do and what they can do. Like I said, you got Masonic UK, Masonic Worldwide, you know what I mean, their hazing games, do you know what I mean, their charities, do you know what I mean, Masonic wives and what they say, the wives and the girlfriends say about their ex-boyfriends, what were Freemasons, so it's all, it's all there, do you know what I mean, everything you need to see, and just follow the numbers basically. You've got all about shush, shh, because that's the key to Freemasonry, shh. The first thing in the Masonic Lodge, what you see on the front of the altar, is their shush god. I've got all that in my other videos, and it's all on the forum. But their biggest that's indoctrinated in you to shush, don't tell tales, don't say this. But people are wising up now. Do you know what I mean? And like I said, everything's in there. You've got Masonic books, anti-Masonic books. John Quincy Adams was telling you in 1847. Do you know what I mean? Go into the and read both of them. They'll tell you. Do you know what I mean? Freemasons have the power to shush up investigations, and they did it in 1857. Was it 57 or whatever? But again, like I said, that's it in the Anti-Masons books. Do you know what I mean? That's what Freemasons are good at doing. Do you know what I mean? Shushing crime up, They don't even investigate their brothers, do you know what I mean? They're free to do whatever they want, and they just fucking laugh and take the piss out of you. You know what I mean? But this is what it's all about as well, you know? Look at the drugs killed by kids. No one's going on about the drug dealers. Why? Why is everyone shh? Because that's what it's about, you know? And if you ain't sure how many kids are killed by drugs, or how drugs affect them, these are done by the same people, do you know what I mean? Number one, kids killed by drugs and police, do you know what I mean? They don't investigate nothing, you know? Always the same, that'll never ever change, it won't, you know what I mean? There's no, you know, it's no good going to the police, because if you're reporting on a Freemason or any of their brothers, that ain't getting investigated, do you know what I mean? Full stop, do you know what I mean? But like I said, at the end of the day, I'm going to upload a lot of these. There's a lot, you know, a lot of interviews, all to do with Freemasons. Every video you see here is to do with Freemasonry, do you know what I mean? And the corruption, you know what I mean? And like I said, that's the common denominator, do you know what I mean? And that's what I try to do. I try, like, my forum is just one big common denominator, and it shows everyone what the hell is going on, do you know what I mean? It puts everything in perspective, do you know what I mean? Or I hope it does, and wake people up to what, you know, what Freemasonry is, you know, Masonic Tony Blair, you know what I mean? All of this, do you know what I mean? All to do with Freemasonry. Everyone here is talking about Freemasons, do you know what I mean? The corruption. But if you do a search for it, you ain't getting it up on a Google search or YouTube. It's all hidden, do you know what I mean? Because it's all restricted from us, you know, and that's how they get away with it all the time, by doing these, you know, by restricting everything. But there's my forum anyway. Ain't nothing big. Like I said, there's about 800 users on there. You know what I mean? There's 88 active members, you know, it's over 1,000 topics, and every topic, even like, I don't even say the word because it gets thingy, even that is to do with them, do you know what I mean? Which is part of the distraction, you know. It's gone now, where is it? Do you know what I mean? We're talking about the Ukraine and all that now, which is Masonic, you know. All wars are Masonic. I keep going on, you know, but like I said, I can talk all bloody day about it, do you know what I mean? But these are the people, you know, like I said, it's the dukes, the lords and the earls, do you know what I mean? And that's all it ever is, do you know what I mean? But you've got, like, you know, you've got different things here, you know, prominent Freemasons, all different types of books you could ever think of, do you know what I mean? And it's there for you to, you know, to read and browse as you like, you know what I mean? But these, they all come across their good, but they ain't, look, lords, dukes and earls, that's what they are. And it shows you, you know, look at their Masonic career. You know, there's the Craft, the Royal Arch, the the Royal Croix, you know what I mean? The higher you go up, the more money you're seeing, you know what I mean? It's only guys like this, and they're perverts and things like that, do you know what I mean? And they've got the power to shush up investigations because they're judges, they're lawyers, you know what I mean? And blah, 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 you know? They're our government, and that's what I mean. The profane person who makes a complaint don't get anywhere, because you're profane, you're not a brother, you're without the temple, you're not worthy of being an investigation, do you know what I mean? And if they can shush it up, they will. And you know, I mean, anyone who's watching this, when you've like lost a court case, or you think, well, how did he win that? It's fucking, you know what I mean? That's because Freemasonry, they've done a little hand sign, do you know what I mean? And they squashed you, do you know what I mean? That's all they do, you know? Anyway, see you all later, folks, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Have a great day. And I'll plenty more videos where this one come from. Thank you very much for watching and listening. And like I said, look for the common denominator. And when you hear things and see things, look for it. You know what I mean? The signs are being done around you, and you don't even know or see them. Do you know what I mean? And they know that because you're profane. Anyway, have a great day. And remember, you profane, I love you. Freemasons, no chance. Avoid like the plague.